am going to ask Councillor Ria to do a karakia for us, and then we'll go through the order of the day.
Morena tātou, me inoi tātou. E roa tēnei mātou tō o pononga e tuku whakamātu kia koe tēnei atu. Mana ki tia mai mātou I roto I ngā mahi katoa kai mua I a tātou I tēnei rā. Arahina mai mātou, mana ki tia mai rātou ngā manuhiri ka tai mai I tēnei rā ki te tuku o rātou whakaaro e pāna ki tēnei kaupapa nui whakaharahara, hei painga, hei toitu, mā te tai rāwhiti. Koenei tā mātou inoi atu kia koe I runga I te ngō tautamo I hukraiti. Āmini.
Okay, so let's carry on where we stopped yesterday. I just want everyone to take a look. There was a handout item not on council agenda, which I will move be part of our agenda. Seconded by Councillor Robinson. All in favour? Aye. Carried. Make sure you've got it. It's the LLB paper. Everyone's got that? So this is for later today. So first what we will do is finish all our hearings. And then if you don't have a copy, please grab this. It's a very, very short read that came out late. So what we will do is start with our hearings. Again, like yesterday, there might be some periods in between submissions where we might have the odd 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. Grab a coffee, check your emails, do what you need to do, mingle, and we will make sure we stick to our plan. Our lovely Nuhiti community, are you ready to go or are you still waiting for people? Right, so we will start with you in a few minutes and then we will carry on with the next. Can I be of assistance? Apology from Councillor Parata, seconded by Councillor Alder, moved by Councillor Wharehinga. All in favour?
Sorry, Your Worship, and
she's come in lateness for Councillor Tibble. She did let me know, so please include that as well. Thank you. Okay, so what we will do, councillors, as yesterday we've got our sheet with what the submitter ID is. To our submitters this morning, welcome to the Gisborne District Council. I'll do a quick little run over how we plan to run the day. Most of you have made submissions before, so it is not difficult. You have sat here, you've looked at the 5-minute clock, and you have worked with us. If you've got a bigger group, we can grab more chairs here. I see some people in the back as well might want to join us in the front. 5 minutes, and you can take the submissions as read. You can see that we've had quite a few submissions. These are read. Today is only public submissions. There are no debating. Councillors can ask questions of clarification, but it is like a normal public deputation. So without further ado, I welcome our friends from the Nuhiti community. Amy, are you going to speak, or are you going to bring everyone to the front? We are easy peasy. We've got heaps of chairs. Whoever needs to come to the front, we make space.
Peter and I will come.
Great. Grab a seat. Good morning. How are you?
Yes, thank you.
Good. Grab a seat. Make yourself at home. This is your time. Relax. Sit back. Councillors are here with their ears open today to listen. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Hi, I'm Amy Amos, and this is Peter Ferris, and we are land owners down at Nuhiti. Peter has been involved with the council as part of the roading committee over the last 16 years, and he's here to answer any questions. As a handout today, we've provided some excerpts from both the Stantec report of the long listing, which was provided with the submission, and also excerpts from the slideshow presented as part of the March 2024 final community meeting. Both these documents underpin the details provided in the submission. Page 1 of the information given, labelled evidence, shows the slip section of road that we're talking about. The photo on the left shows the road on a dry day, and you can see that there is significant material on the right-hand side of the road. You can also see that even on a dry day, there is water pooled in the ditch area on the right. The photo on the right-hand side of the page shows the slip after or during rainfall, and you can see there are channels of water flowing down the hillside and down a narrow road. And it also shows the consistency of the material that flows over the road. This material contributes to making the area slippery and dangerous and results in these road closures. If you look at page 2 of the information provided, you can see an overview of the unspent maintaining Canara Road. $1,654,000 has been spent on the road in the last 10 years. The maintenance cost table in summary shows that just under $1 million has been spent on the slip section area. This equates to 59% of that budget being spent on just half a kilometre of the road. Arguably, this budget would have been better invested in fixing the problem rather than trying to maintain and repair a substandard section of road. Table 1 shows the closures of the road in the last 12 months, August 22 to 23. You can see that the road was just open 56% of the time. Incidentally, when the council first identified and looked at the slip area issue in 2008, the road was closed only 3 times per year with a maximum closure time of 16 days. Since then, road users have increased as more development has occurred in New City, and the number of days the road has been closed has increased significantly. Achieving safer access for our community. The New Hiti community was lucky enough to be invited to be part of the council pilot room. At the time, we understood that council was looking to establish a management approach for dealing with the access issues for many vulnerable communities on the East Coast. The access issue was defined, and Narrow Bay Road provides the only access to a narrow road, and it is vulnerable at the slip site. Improved levels of service for access reliability and road user safety was identified as benefit 1. The next meeting we attended was in March 24, and in this meeting we were given a copy of the Stantec report, Community Beach Single Stage Business Case, Option Long Listening and Assessment. This report is a comprehensive 64-page report that provides context of the area, the problem, and then looks at 12 high-level options and assesses them against the investment outcomes and the practical feasibility. Page 4 shows the options considered and proposed alternative road alignments, which are labelled 7, 8, and 9. The report identified 3 preferred or front-run options, and these can be seen on page 5. At this meeting, we were advised that there was a change of tack in the community-led approach. We were given the reports that had been achieved this far, and it was suggested that the 3-year plan submission process would provide the best view of the continuing this project and achieving funding for a roading solution. The council has already invested in the reports this far, and it would be a shame for the money already spent to essentially be wasted to actioning a solution and addressing the issues at the site. At the end of the day, our number 1 priority is achieving safe access across the slip area. It is our only access for the property and is currently a very dangerous area, even with a 4-wheel drive vehicle. The information shows that the council is currently spending significant money trying to maintain the slip area, highlighting that it is currently not a long-term solution. It appears prudent that the council invests money to provide a better long-term solution at the slip area. This will require capital expenditure upfront, but if done appropriately, will reduce the maintenance budget, make long-term economic sense for the council, and improve the safety and reliability of the access across the slip area and to New Hiti. Significant preliminary work has already been funded by council and completed by Stantec. The information presented has been completed by roading professionals and has gone through a robust analysis process. Referring to page 5 and the front runner options, 2 options have come out on top. There's option 6, the do minimum and slip monitoring and comms. This would result in the status quo and continued money spent on maintaining a poorly performing section of road and would do little to address the current issue. Option 9, realign the road to the east. As you look at the front runner table, you can see that option 9 gets the most green boxes and no red negative boxes. As a community, this is our preferred option, and it appears to provide a good balance between positive outcomes and expenditure. On a personal note, many members of the New City community have turned up today to support this decision. It has been heartbreaking to have the road closed for such extended periods of time and no access to our property. And Narrow Bay Road offers the only access to New Hiti and Shark Bay, and we've become increasingly frustrated by the lack of safe access to our properties. Many of us are unable to access the area on a regular basis. As a community, we have been very proactive in our dealings with council and patient as we wait for a solution. It has been over 6 16 years since the slip area was identified as an issue by council and the first options explored. Our ability to enjoy and use our properties is significantly hampered by this slip. We truly hope that the council will finally decide to provide a long-term solution to this issue. Many of the landowners want to live there on a more permanent basis. Indeed, some have tried and had to relocate due to safety issues and the uncertainty on this road. We hope that the council will continue with the great work that has been initiated by this consultation process and is detailed in the Centec report. This provides a great opportunity to provide a more permanent solution to this issue. Thank you, Amy.
That's all good, I'm the boss. If I say you can speak, you can speak.
Well, I prefer the council to ask some questions.
Any questions, Councillor? Councillor Wharehinga, thank you.
Very much, Your Worship. Thank you for the presentation. Amy, good to see you again. Just looking at the map that you guys have here, and in regards to the east realignment, it looks like it's just kind of under where the slip, or, just under where the slip is. Do you have you received any info, or do you understand anything in terms of like what could possibly be mitigation for that slip? Because it looks like the proposal is eastward alignment under a hill that's already slipping, that slipped out a road. So if you could expand on that a bit.
We walked over that area with the engineer from Stantec, and we walked right even around the top options that they looked at, and he believes that by putting a catchment area at the foot of the slip going east, so you're catching what's coming off the slip, there's actually, yeah, when he tested it, it's actually, there's not as much water and stuff in there as he thought initially, and he believes that they can solidify the stuff that's already on the seaward side and make that more roadworthy, and then have a catchment at the slip base. And he said if that was kept clear, then we would have better options. But going around the top was major.
Thank you for your submissions. I just wanted to check, is it still on the economic part of it? We've got 4 permanent residents and 2 farms that require truck access to move stock. Is that in the situation?
Thank you for taking the time to come and talk to us. I also want to acknowledge the supporters today. And so today we won't make any decisions today. We've listened yesterday, listened today. We'll discuss this on the 30th of May, and the decisions will be made around. Thank you. Thanks a lot for that.
Thank you.
All good. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Has Charlie just left the room? Can someone send Charlie back in? Once he's ready. Still got a few minutes, he might just make it. Make a little phone call. Bits and helping. It's a very complex situation. There's no nudity, it's quite. So councillors, our next one would be Charlie. Hi Charlie, are you ready for us? I know you've still got a few minutes, but when you're ready, that would be lovely. Good. Well done. Hi Charlie, so you've made submissions to us before. You know how it works. We've got the 5 minutes, roughly 5 minutes. And if there are questions in the end, sometimes there are no questions because you've made it quite clear. But if there are some questions, we'll shout out. The floor is yours.
Marvellous. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for letting us have our say. Slight change of plan. Francis was supposed to be doing this with Toby Williams as the backup, but last night I got the phone call to say come in. So, I take it everyone's got a copy and has read the submissions. Marvellous. We'd like to start off with, we'd like council and council employees, when they're making decisions, to make sure it's a need to have and not a nice to have. We as a farming community at the moment are struggling with extreme hardship at the moment. As you're well aware, land prices are basically worthless. Well, I mean, that's been worthless for decades. Beef's only slightly holding out. We agree with the recovery from cyclone rate increase. However, overall, some increases are going up to another extreme, which is causing massive hardship. I mean, Toby won't mind this, but Toby Williams's rates are going to go from $40,000 a year to $60,000 a year. $20,000 increase. Now, where is he going to get that money from? We have no control over the prices we get. All we can control is expenditure. So farmers are now cutting back. We're dropping fertiliser completely, not even putting maintenance on, which is going to take a long time to recover in further years. We're struggling to pay for fencing. We're pretty much relying on donations that are coming through. It's only vital fencing that people are being employed for. No upgrades, no new fence lines and struggling to pay our employees, which is the biggest one for the community. We're going to have to start cutting back staff, which means people are going to have to leave town in order to find work. The ones we are kind of managing to keep on, we're actually taking food off our own tables in order to pay our employees. So that is why we're so determined to make sure that you understand it's nice to haves just cannot exist in at least 3 years. I mean, the next 18 months is going to be real painful for this region. And forestry's hitting on the downturn. Farms are going to struggle immensely. We're all well aware, we're all still trying to recover from the 3 cyclones we had 18 months ago. That's pretty much it. We agree with, in the submission you'll see, we do agree with bits and pieces, but yeah. I'll pretty much put it over to you. Foster.
Councillor Foster, thank you.
Thank you for that, Charlie. What's your interpretation of nice to haves?
Do we absolutely need it? Is it actually going to improve the district? I mean, roads, infrastructure, those things do improve. I haven't read a lot into this Grey Street project, which is happening. But from what I've kind of reading it, it's actually not necessary. It's that sort of, oh, let's make this a nice area, but it's just, is that money actually going to improve the district overall?
Any more questions of Charlie? Hi Charlie, thank you very much in this. I've just opened up again the submission. We always get well thought through submissions from federated farmers and well researched. You can see policy people look into it and make sure there's consistency across the country. So again, thank you for having a submission that tell us the basics.
This is the shortest one, I think.
Yeah, it is the shortest one. Thanks a lot for your time, Charlie. Did you have a question? Councillor Pahuru Huriwa.
No, just the whipping dog fees. Got that on page 17. Give me an idea of how much you would, spend on working dog fees a year?
Well, if you take me, for example, I'm $560 a year.
What have you got?
7.
That's not a small.
Yeah, you see most teams, well, my former neighbour Jock Spence had a team of 15.
Not talking 1 or 2 dogs.
No, we're not talking about dogs, so it's it is a very significant cost, and you are always kind of wondering, do I get to it? You know, it's in retirement, you wanted to just kind of cruise around sheds and live happily, but $56 a year to just revisit food, but in these times, and then you kind of think,
Thank you.
no, that's right. Thank you,
All
everyone.
good.
Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Okay, councillors, we have Bob next. Robert, he's not here yet, so I think we'll just have a quick few minutes as people come in. Grant's not here either. Grant's not here. Oh, well, we'll just have a grab another. And when I speak, you do need to be quiet. That is just how we roll. Councillors, I do welcome Mr. Robin Hill. Welcome to the council today. Please join me at the front here, Bob. Come and make yourself at home. I'll run through how we operate in here, but it is relaxed, laid back. Take a seat. How are you? Take a seat. You will see that we have got a timer over there that will run out roughly 5 minutes. And there might be some questions at the end, there might not be. The big thing is going to see if the clicker works. The clicker is not working. Heather will be your clicker, you just tell Heather. Bob, make yourself at home. We are all ears. Ready to listen to you. Here we go. So councillors, that is submission ID 145. Thank you. That's all good. Bob, when you're ready, you can submit.
Kia koutou katoa I tēnā mai nei kia rori a koutou tauni hira nei. Me mihi hoki ki ngā tini ai tu a rātou mākua. Tēnei te mihi ake kia koutou. Tai tini wā te tuake nei te whakawhai tia whakapoto on kāwa te roti. Kia ora.
You can stand or sit, whatever suits you.
I might stand.
Good. That's all good.
Otherwise I'll be sitting down for the rest of the day. Look, this was the last minute, councillors and members of the Konihira. This was the last minute preparation for a presentation, and I have to thank staff who were at the kapahaka. And they pressured me to, I'm not looking at anyone in particular, pressured me to do some work for the council.
Fantastic.
Mai ahaui te Wairarapa, te taku tau kei reira, and I'm from the Wairarapa. I'm from the foreshore of Wairarapa. Engari, look, let's get started. If I fall out of line, I'm sure the Mayor will pull me back in. There are a couple of things I just want to go over, and I'm not going to go into too much depth in my submission because part of that has rolled into the 3-year plan. The other part, of course, probably sits with the so I'm happy just to talk to aspects of the plan, Mayor, and then we go from there. Just a couple of general comments. I looked at the little book here, this little one, and on page 16, 17 and 18, I looked at the numbers that you've got on the on page 17, and it struck me then that the numbers on here represent a smallish community but a big landmass. I think, Mayor, that's the challenge you've got. And I think having been here 2 years, it's a wonderful little city. There's no two ways about it. And the people are just lovely, but you've really got some challenges. And Gabriel and Hale haven't helped. And that's well known in the press. Secondly, Mayor, I'm thinking about also the Māori community and the contribution the Māori community, Māori authorities and Māori businesses make to the economy of Aotearoa. And it sits at something like about $70 billion. You've got some big hitters in this region, and I think that's part of mobilising the economy of the Tairāwhiti and the Tūranga area, mobilising the economy so that you can, look, I don't want to say rob, but out of the returns. They're going to tell me off about this, but you want to be able to pick bits and pieces out when you've got big, and you've done it in the past, and not just here in Tairāwhiti and Tūranga, but around the motu. You know, councils have asked, and don't be afraid to ask. They'll only say no, but I'm sure they'll come to the party. And there will be opportunities to reap the benefits of the Māori economy. And at the moment, I'm reading the stats with Stats New Zealand. It sits around about $74 billion across the motu. Those are for Māori authorities and big Māori businesses. And you've got them. You've got them here. The second general comment I want to make is, while the recovery's going on, I'm also conscious that you've got to think about your 3-year, 6-year, 10-year plan. And in the little booklet here, whakaoranga tō tātou nei roki, giving health and vitality to our region. There are aspects in here that are worth thinking about, I think. And a couple I'll just follow up. Yeah, if I could just find a little clicker.
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Just tell Heather when you want to click.
I'll stand over here if you don't mind.
Right, that's perfect.
So if you go to the next one, please. And we've covered a wee bit about that, so we'll go to the next one. And here's the bugbear, I think, and this is not beating up the politicians, but when your economics are not flash, and government's going to tell me off about this, you've got to start thinking about how best you might pull that economics back on track if it's not on track. And rates will continue, and it says that in the little book, it will continue to fund various projects within the region. There's no problem with that. Local roading is one of those. And I was looking at stats. I'm a stat nut. I'm looking at the stats, and the monies that go in purchasing bitumen. Sand is a limited commodity. We'll run out of sand one day. I don't mind saying it. You keep taking, not the council, but the industry keeps taking sand out of the rivers, fresh sand out, or washed clean sand out of the rivers. We're going to run dry on sand. So we've got to think about what other things can we do, and I'll come to that in a moment. Recycled and shredded rubber for road use. Now, in Australia, and I think also in other parts, and Germany's a good example, they're experimenting with shredded rubber to go in the bitumen. And I think this is something for the local roads, not the heavy use roads like Ormond Road, Highway 35 and Highway 2. We've got to look at other opportunities to supplement the heavy cost of bitumen. Otherwise, that money is heavily, it's money that we could sort of massage away, but if we had alternatives to sand and cement and tar. Otherwise, we're pulling it in overseas. The current economics and the current conflicts in the Middle East don't help. Don't help. And the bitumen oils that come out have to go to either to Singapore or to Indonesia. That's cost against the council, cost against the user. So I'm thinking, rates continue, we recycle shredded rubber and other things can be recycled into the roads. We're looking at small roads within the city. We're not looking at big, heavy transport roads. But we need to start thinking about what can we do to reduce the cost of bitumen and asphalt oil coming to New Zealand and used on the roads. And I think, other than Highway 35, Highway 1 and the likes of Ormond Road, you can do, once these things start coming online, the other things to grasp, the alternatives to bitumen and asphalt oil. Otherwise you're paying big money, and a lot of money goes into roads because it's the lifeline for the city and the lifeline for our region. So we can go on that and then start building on the economics of the road. Yep, next one. And here we go. Here's the material. Here, I'll just flash this out a wee bit. Sand for industry. It's not going to be around long. If you keep taking sand out the Waiapu, you keep taking sand out the Waipawa, we're going to run out of sand. We're going to run out of good sand that could be used for something else. Every time you put a digger in there, it costs money. Now, if you don't mind me saying, I'm mean with the dollars at the best of times. But you've got to think about these things. Look, 70% of asphalt and bitumen oil is used in roading. That's a huge cost. You're not filling your car up at BP or Shell. Sorry, Shell doesn't exist, but at the outlets. It's a huge cost against the council and a huge cost against the ratepayers. And here again, we're looking at our economics as in the global economy. So if we could go on, I'm just conscious
You need to wrap up.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah. Land drainage. Now, this is something I have a passion about. Flooding impacts on public cemeteries. And people shudder when I start talking about it. We've got to talk about it. We've got to keep the water levels down in the public sector, in the public cemeteries. And dare I say it, we don't want to be allowing our tūpapaku to be flooded. So we've got to keep this water level down. And the difficulty here is the flat land. You know, if you put 2 degrees drop on your drainage, when it gets down the end of the road, you've got to add another 2 degrees, and down and down and down, you're going right into the middle of the earth. But we've got, I think, for the sake and dignity of the dead, we've got to get that water out of the cemetery and allow them to rest in peace. And just if I could just check the next one. And this is a very quick one, Mayor.
All good, yes. Wrap it up. It's all good.
Hello, I've got
It's okay.
We'll forgive you, Bob. We'll forgive you.
Okay, right. Once, see, the problem with our refuse is once they dump it at the recycling centre, they don't want to know about it. It's the end of it. They drive off and then leave it. But you've got to, and the other thing is it's managed privately, and these are the things you've got to manage. But if you go to the next one, that's it. I'm thinking of the long-term 10-year plan, further down the track, you want to have industrial shredders down at Awapuni. That breaks it down and you can package it up into big squares. Otherwise you're going to be travelling all the way to Turuhia or some other place to dump your rubbish. You need to shred it, package it, compact it, and then put it into a new landfill. That's the challenge. New landfill costs money. Man, I think that we're running out of time now.
We have run out of time,
Yeah.
but Bob, I do want to thank you for your well considered and also your slides. Heather will make sure we get a copy of that as well. Thank you for taking the
Oh, no
time to come
problem.
and talk to us today. We really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Don't fall over. And you're free to listen if it's more, but it's also taking the time. We do appreciate it.
I'll blame it on the.
We'll blame it on Anita. We'll leave that with her. Thank you, Paul. Take care. Have a lovely day. Mr. Grant Vincent. Good morning, Grant. How are you? I do not have to tell you how things work because you have made several submissions to us before. The floor is yours. We've got a 5-minute clock over there. There might be some questions in the end, there might not be, but hey, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gosh, if I'd known you were all going to be here, I would have had a shave.
Oh, there we go.
So yeah, kia ora tātou. Most of you know me, Grant Vincent. I was born here, lived all my life here in Turanganua, Kiwi, Gisborne. And I'm just giving a brief few words for our Gisborne Tairāwhiti branch of Whāpuhi. As you probably know, we're a nationwide organisation with branches all around the country. I haven't got a lot to say, and I don't want to tell you what you already know. Our local Gisborne Tairāwhiti branch and our paid staff, we are spending more time on focusing on the original policy statement, which will be the draft, I think, will be due out in July, and also the review of the Tairāwhiti Resource Management Plan, which are the more longer-term operations and plans of the District Council. So we'll be focusing on that mainly, which is why I haven't got a lot to say about the 3-year plan. But meanwhile, our major concern, bearing in mind the justifiable focus on recovery from our recent storm events, is that the regular and necessary regional council functions of the unitary authority doesn't get left behind in the rush of this important work of the recovery from cyclones Hale, Gabrielle and previous storms. And I am fairly heartened because on page 7 of the aforementioned booklet, it does state that we have to balance our business as usual core services with major projects and an enormous amount of recovery work. And these, quote, usual core services must include the continuing regional council functions of biodiversity work, biosecurity, pests and weeds, freshwater work, and erosion control on pastoral land, as well as the forestry use. On page 44, large wood debris. Quote, forestry companies have estimated, I said I wasn't going to tell you what you already know. It pays to reiterate these main points. Forestry companies have estimated they have removed approximately 300,000 tonnes of large woody debris from hillsides and waterways. So the increased GDC forestry compliance team, that's really heartening, and the integrated catchment team, they'll be doing great work. You've got some wonderful staff. I do say that quite regularly to you when I'm here. A 9-person team, the integrated catchment team. I guess the only downside of that is it's good that the funding has come through because, as Bob previously mentioned, the lack of money in the large area that this unitary authority faces. The funding for that 9-member team has come from MPI, MFE and Land Information NZ, and that's limited funding. It's significant funding, but it will be it has a time limit of I think 2026 and 2027, so hopefully they can get through a lot of work with repairing and putting processes in place that can help us recover over this 3 years, bearing in mind that the document also says that obviously it's not all going to be done in 3 years. Things have been kicked off and changes are being made. Now, from a forest and bird perspective, I'm not quite sure why I put in the submission about the proposed rate rise of 1.1% on page 45. We don't normally comment on rates and finances like that, but I think the reason we put that in there is still a major shortfall of at least $100 million, which is mentioned on page 44. The damage is in the billions, and so commend the council that, lobbying central government has put rules and regulations in place which the GDC and Forest and Bird, Environmental Defence Society and others did not agree with in 2015, with strong submissions put in about that to central government. So that's part of the problem there. So central government needs to come to the party even more than they have done. But as a local branch, we just want to support you and your staff with what you're doing, and that there are other groups also. There's funded by the Responsible Weu Trust and Manatai o Tairāwhiti, who've done amazing work, and you will have seen in the Pipi Wharaurua, there have been some articles by Manu Paddy and Damien Salmond about the issues, and thank you. That's been helpful. As I say, we're focusing on the RPS and the Tairāwhiti Resource Management Plan, but we just want to say a few words about the 3-year plan and get some more money.
There we go. Thank you for that, Grant. Thank you also for your well-written submission. We do appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Great.
Thank you.
Lovely catching up. Okay.
No curly questions?
No curly questions of Grant? All good. Thank you, Grant.
Thank you. I can run away.
You can run away. Next, I welcome Stefan from Whiti Ora Tairāwhiti. For those of you that are not 100% across, Whiti Ora Tairāwhiti used to be known as Port Gisborne Tairāwhiti, and they've got a beautiful new rebranding. So this is the first time that you present in that capacity. Welcome. How are you? Good. So why are you late? But it is, you just wandered on time. All good. Hey, you've submitted to us several times before, Stefan. You know the go. There's about 5 minutes. I know your presentation is 7 minutes and 30 seconds, so we will accommodate you. But hey, let's make a start.
Cool. And do I have a clicker? Or
Heather will be your clicker. We're just, as always, having a little bit. It's got a hissy fit this morning. Not Heather, the clicker.
Like it's right there, but not there.
But poor Heather is then the clicker lady. So you just tell Heather when you want her to play.
Cool. Thank you, Your Worship. Tēnā koutou, ka rere tonu ngā mihi kia koutou katoa e arahi, e manaaki ana I ngā whānau me ngā hapori o te peira. Hey, greetings everyone, thank you for having me back. So I think several months ago I came and did a presentation a little bit about the mahi our organisation does and the opportunities with partnership with council. So I won't need to talk about that, but as Your Worship mentioned, yes, we've changed our name to Whiti Ora Tairāwhiti. We still absolutely love sport, but the reason we made the change is just to better represent, we actually support a range of positive physical activity, as well as good nutrition, people's overall hauora and the well-being of our communities. So Whiti Ora Tairāwhiti, we want everyone to shine, to be at their best. We're basically there to help support radiate the joy of living in our beautiful region. I think we can flip to the slides, thank you, and probably one more. Look, we're under no illusions as to the massive scale of the challenges that our region faces, huge fiscal constraints that we're all facing. We get it. And with regards to the extreme weather events, I do just want to mention that as part of our submission, we included our recovery plan for the sport and recreation sectors, because a number of codes and clubs had detrimental impacts from the extreme weather events. They do need some ongoing support. But also importantly, there's an opportunity for our codes and clubs to take part in conversations and collaborations around how to help our region to heal. We just need to ensure that they have a voice and a seat at the table. I also want to do a shout out and commend the Recovery Office for their support in us doing that recovery plan. In particular, Rena Kohere, she did some phenomenal work.
Sure, you can go.
I don't know how she does it. She must have an amazing support network at home. If we can flick one more, please. Thank you, Heather. And just quickly, I always sound like a broken record, but we've got to keep raising the prominence and the importance of sport, recreation, activity on the health and well-being of our communities. You know, we totally get the critical infrastructure, the roads, the housing. It's tangible, it's easier to see. But this is an absolute must-need for people to do the activities they love, to connect with others through doing it, for people's mental well-being. We've really seen that need, particularly after COVID and after the cyclones. So just wanting to do a plug for that, and I guess if I asked you the question, you're all busy people, probably a lot of pressures and stressful lives. What do you do to keep yourself settled and balanced and flow? And probably I imagine for a lot of you, some sort of physical activity would be part of that answer. But with our actual submission, if we can flick one more, thank you. Of course, I'm going to do a plug for the indoor multi-purpose centre. I know you've had a number of submissions on that. We had that passionate speech from Adrian Sparks from the GBA the other day. And, you know, there was a huge community rally several months ago. You're driving the feasibility study in partnership with us and with others, and hopefully within about a month there'll be a draft report will come through. And we know that report will say there's an absolute need for the indoor. How do we know? It's because that need has been here for decades. And that need is only getting worse, things are getting more critical, and the lost opportunity cost is getting worse as well. There's a range of benefits. I'm just going to talk to one, and normally I'm very cautious about talking about events. We'll have a sporting code, we'll say, hey, if we can build a facility, we'll get all these national events. But actually, this being a multi-purpose centre means that it is far more realistic and likely that in like a 3-year window, we could have at least a couple, if not more, regional basketball tournaments, volleyball, pickleball, surely something in the kapahaka space, given we're a cultural powerhouse. Netball, rugby could bring in professional teams because they need indoor centres for training. So there's actually a huge range of opportunity there that could inject much needed revenue into our hospitality, accommodation sectors, particularly if you think about our winter months where our tourism strategy might not be as strong. The wellbeing benefits are massive, I think we all know those, and you know, we've got to think about our tamariki, our rangatahi, a positive, safe space to come and connect and be inspired and learn life skills. So it really is a no-brainer. The one problem is that in the current 3-year plan you've got, there's zero investment towards the actual development of an indoor. And as I say, we totally get the political constraints. We know if this is to get over the line, it has to rely on external funding, central government funding, and we will be pushing and advocating for that. But if we go to external funders and they see there is zero investment from the local authority for 3 years, then there is no way they're not going to look at it and say this is obviously not a priority because there's investment in a range of other areas. And then I honestly believe this whole feasibility, this whole project will be dead in the water. And I don't want to be doing scaremongering, but the only thing that's sort of kept things afloat, schools have a bit of their hand, but the godsend has been the YMCA. But they, and I don't know if many of you know this, but they've had plans to redevelop that court into something completely different. They've got accommodation plans. They've put them on hold for a number of years because they're worried about the impact on what would happen with sport and rec codes. But I'd say that their patience is wearing thin. So if we lost that YMCA facility, I have no idea what we would do. And when I look at places like Kaitaia, Kaikohe, Wairoa having better indoor facilities and they've got much smaller populations, high deprivation areas, then surely there's a way we can do it. So I'm doing a plug for somehow to do a bit of a reallocation within the 3-year plan to put something there to show a little bit of skill in the game. If facilities like this could cost around 20 million, then maybe a 21 million from somewhere up your sleeve. Because I think that could make a huge difference to whether this will get over the line or not. Next slide, please. As you'll be aware, there are a number of other facility projects underway across the region. We've got some great things happening up the coast. Fingers crossed Marekura get their storage for Wakaama shortly, and something can also happen at the marina. Just want to mention Victoria Domains. There's some money there from Trust Tairāwhiti to redevelop the outdoor courts, make some multi-purpose, and that should start towards the end of the year, which is great. They will obviously, though, still need to go to external funders, several million, in order to do the shared hub at the building and bring the codes together. So I just hope that the council would support any external funding applications and agree that this is a regional priority as well. And final, in closing out, within the 3-year plan, you've got some investment for walking and cycle trails, particularly around the Taruhiru. We definitely support that. We see the huge benefits that has for activity for our region, for families. Really love, I think you're going to get a presentation later today from Sheridan Gundry, the wonderful Sheridan, on behalf of Tapuwai Tairāwhiti Trails Trust. Love the alliteration in that name there, Lyle. But yeah, we really support that. Would be happy to get involved with them if there's any way we can to increase activity on those trails. Love that they're incorporating local history into the as well. We support phase 2 of the Kiwa Pools. We always knew there was going to be a phase 2, although we would be a little bit interested in just getting a reminder of the breakdown of how that $6.5 million will be spent. And finally, just a bit of a plug, and the detail's not in there, but every year there's a budget for turf maintenance, field and sport maintenance. Please don't drop that. If anything, it needs an uplift because a number of sporting codes and clubs, their fields and turfs were damaged by the weather events and they're fairly compromised. So just if there are cuts anywhere, don't touch that. But that was basically it from me. Sorry for going over everybody.
There we go. Luckily you're cutting into the morning tea time.
Ooh, I might be
Yes, you're
crucified
not
for
going
that.
to be
I'm
very
going to
popular for that.
Okay.
Councillor Gregory.
Thank you for your presentation. How much, so you suggested, say, $1 million. What about something else other than money to show our support?
Yeah, that's a good question, thank you. I think that's it. I think it could be something else if it just shows, I hate using that old term, but some sort of skin in the game, some sort of actual commitment other than, because the feasibility will end very shortly, other than just another study being done. Yeah.
Councillor Foster.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation, Steph.
Thank you.
Adrian, he mentioned about a location, a possible location for an indoor stadium at the old Olympic pool site. Is that an area that you would support as Sport Gisborne, or if you looked at alternative sites?
And I know the feasibility is looking at a few of the leading sites. I guess for our point of view, we think we've reached a stage where we'd be happy for it to go anywhere because the need is there. Definitely down to by the old Olympic pool. I think there's a lot of potential on that side. It would definitely depend on mana whenua and a few other key considerations, but I can see a lot of benefits from that site if that could go ahead, yes. Be a nice precinct, it's not surrounded by urban housing, there could be more parking opportunities. Yep.
Thank you very much, and as always, Piti Ora makes good submissions, try to work in a collaborative way, and we do appreciate your support as well.
Thank you very much.
So we now have a very shortened tea time. No, I'm just kidding. We've got 20 minutes, so please feel free, our guests as well, help yourself to a cup of tea, and we'll be back at 20. John? Kia ora. How are you? Good. You have
we spend.
You know. So councillors, if I can just get everyone's attention, I welcome John Kape. John has made some submissions to us. Also have a slideshow which Heather will get running because we are having some issues with our clicker. But hey John, the floor is yours. We've got our clock here in the background. Thank you. Make yourself at home.
Okay, we have to kia koe te koroma mātua. Huri no te e te pepu te ngā memo te kaungia o tūranga nui a. Tēnā whauki. The proposed plan, or the draft plan you have in front of you, proposes to increase rates by 30% over the next 3 years. That'll take average rates to $4,000 per household. That's a big step. It does this while maintaining between $5 and $10 million in indirect ratepayer subsidies to the logging industry, roading subsidies and resource consent related subsidies. My submission, that's an unaffordable burden on ratepayers, and then it's also holding back the growth of the region. That hand up is just to request. So there's 3 main problems I see with this budget. First, that it continues a $5 to $10 million annual subsidy to repair the damage caused by the log trucks to local roads. Now that's the local share, not the government share, the local share for local roads, the gap in the local share that's met by ratepayers. In addition, it maintains what is a relatively new subsidy of $1 to $3 million per year for the resource consent fees for monitoring, enforcing and compliance of the logging industry's environmental performance. Now the government has stepped in and helped the council with the costs of resource consent. That help may not last till the next plan. So I really think you should be doing the footwork now to ensure that you're putting in place the funding mechanisms to ensure that cost gap is met. And third point, and it's a side point, that it fails to invest in the infrastructure needed to support the city's population growth, forcing up the price of land and housing. There's a lack of clarity about the council's rules around subdivision, large-scale subdivisions. So the relief my submission seeks is to first, the council in this plan starts to reduce the $5 to $10 million annual road repair and resource consent subsidy in this budget. It has options in this plan to do that. First is to increase the targeted forestry rate differential. That's not an ideal mechanism, but it's the only one that's, or it's a key one that's available to the council at the moment. And second is to increase the forestry consent and environmental fees. You do have mechanisms in this draft plan to do that. Those are interim measures. In the long term, a port log levy is the most efficient way of assuring the costs, the roading repair costs, are actually met by those causing the damage and happens at the point of their income. So my request, Your Worship, is that you begin formal discussions with the Minister of Infrastructure and Transport, not the Minister of Regional Development, the Minister of Infrastructure and Transport, on introduction of port log levy by 2026. And I can just point out the government is looking for funding mechanisms to fund future, for release private finance to fund the future infrastructure needs of the country. The council could get in line with this by putting in place some work to get this port levy in place. My request also is the council reviews its One Network road funding policy to better reflect the users and beneficiaries pays principle. At the moment, the roading network is being funded across all ratepayers. Essentially, it results in 80% of the cost being met by the city and the surrounds, but most of the cost is being invested onto the forestry routes and into rural routes. That's not a fair balancing of the cost. My request is to review the One Network roading funding policy. A key step here that you could take some proactive steps to get into this plan is a process to get better information on what industry costs is being borne by the ratepayer. I would like to see, is if no action is taken on the actual funding in this draft plan, that there are some steps in place that say the council is going to do the footwork, so when you get to the next plan, you are prepared to implement these new mechanisms. So use this window that you have with the government stepping in to help support the repair of the roading network in the region, to get in place the funding mechanisms that's needed. Can I just say that the Crown has stepped in repeatedly over the last 10 years to support the forestry, to support the roading work, both for forestry purposes and for flooding. I don't think the Crown is going to be that easy in stepping forward in the future. So that's why you need to have the mechanisms in place now. So I just want to make a point. Council is not hamstrung. You do have mechanisms and you do have the law on your side. Note that Wairoa Council Court of Appeal decision that held the council's ability to charge differential forestry rates to better reflect the costs of the industry on the ratepayer and the region. And in that case, the court found costs against the forestry industry. And the interim council must increase the forestry differential and consent fees in this plan and in this budget to better reflect the actual cost and remove the industry burden off the ratepayer. My view is the port log levy is the most efficient method to fund the roading repair that's needed, roading repair of the logging industry damage to the roads in the medium to long term, provides mechanisms to ensure those roads continue to be made so the industry can continue to operate, and imposes the cost at income for the industry, and is targeted at those responsible for the costs. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thanks a lot for that, and Heather will also make sure everyone get a copy email of your presentation. Any questions of John? Councillor Gregory.
Thank you. I'm just interested in your Port Log levy story there. So you say go to the ministers because the government's looking for money. Does that mean that the government would get that money?
No, I'm not saying that. The gap is in the ratepayer funder. I'm saying that what you need to go to the ministers for is enabling legislation, possibly. Now, I don't know the ins and outs whether the legislation will allow you to do it, possibly will, but you need to have that discussion to get clarity on the legislation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Thompson, thank you.
Yeah, just in regards to the log levy at the port, already people are going to Napier because it's cheaper. Have you got any other ideas? Push more that way?
I would say that those that are going to the port are probably those that are south of Gisborne. I think there's still likely to be a good majority of chunk will come to Gisborne. I think you just need to stand up to what the industry will say they'll do and put in place something that ensures that the ratepayers are not carrying the cost. So the industry will say, oh, we can't do it. The port will say we can't do it. I'm saying toughen up, councillors.
Councillor Tibble, thank you.
Tēnā koe, thank you for your presentation. What I wanted to look at was the concept of the port log levy, ministers coming in, and imagine that has happened. How does that then transfer into a relief for ratepayers?
So at the moment, the ratepayer is funding the repair of the roads. Now, the mechanism will bring in money to the council so that cost is no longer being borne by the ratepayer. It relieves the council's budget of how much revenue is raised by the levy. That funding can then be used either in the roading budget to fix the city or fix the roads in other places, or to invest in the growth of the city. So it directly provides relief funding into your budget.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you for taking the time, and Heather will make sure we receive your...
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, councillors, next we move to Simon. Simon, can you hear me?
Kia ora, yes I can.
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
All good. Hey, welcome to the Gisborne District Council, and thank you for joining us in your Apollo submission. It's taken as read, but we've got roughly 5 minutes to share with us just thoughts you want to leave with us in regards to your written submission. So thank you, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship, and elected members. Kia ora koutou, ko Simon Wall, toku whenua, ko Apollo Projects Te Mahi. Hopefully you will have heard of Apollo projects over the last few years in the Gisborne region. and hopefully you also know that we're a specialist design and build construction company with extensive experience delivering community, sports, recreation and aquatic facilities to local authorities throughout New Zealand. We've taken the opportunity to review Gisborne District Council's LTP and the associated consultation document, and we've made our written submission as noted, and it's taken as read. The key intent of our submission has been to relate our knowledge and experience in delivery of council community infrastructure projects to ensure that the knowledge, delivery model and confidence to proceed is available to Gisborne in future community projects. Given Apollo's extensive experience and observation of other council projects throughout New Zealand, we've built a strong understanding of the factors that create better likelihood of success for council-led projects. These are briefly summarised as developing realistic budgets, and this is given the point that the budget has to be realistically low as well as not too high. There's many projects that have been delayed or even cancelled because the original budget that was set was too high and unaffordable. Design and build is a fantastic model to mitigate risk and achieve a target budget for the scope that is being sought. And lastly, we've found in recent times that there have often been very conservative utilisation predictions for the completed project. And most projects, as you've experienced with the opening of Kiwa Pools, have been used far more than originally predicted. So thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and we'll happily respond to any questions.
Thank you for that. Councillor Foster.
Thank you. What would be the average price of the design to build for a stadium that would be required for here?
Sorry, that just didn't come through clearly.
Mike, just speak out clearly and just realise he hasn't listened to our previous submitters, so you need to make it clear that he understands what you're asking.
What would be the average price for an average indoor stadium for a city the size of Gisborne?
It all comes down to the number of courts that you want in the building, and then all the associated amenities. But the best thing that we can do is give you examples where we've delivered projects like that. So recently we've just finished building 10 courts, 10 indoor netball court facility in Christchurch, which cost $14 million. And we also finished the Pettigrew Green Arena in Napier, which I think was 18 million for 6 courts. But that was a taller building to accommodate volleyball.
Councillor Alder, thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Simon, is it possible to build in a tsunami escape route onto the roof of such a building? And would it add significant cost?
It certainly would be possible. The question will be what then is the implications in terms of the building strength that needs to be designed to fully account for that and ensure that being on the roof is suitable. But yeah, I think you would probably find that there'll be quite a significant cost involved in trying to achieve something like that.
Councillor Cranston, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Simon. As you know, I was on the steering group with Paul and absolutely stoked how that came out. And it was because it was a design and build. Just wondered if you had any ideas about, we've got kind of obligations that we do have to tender our projects like that. So design and build, getting the tender right up front for the whole process, is that an issue, or do you go design and build with tender options out to several suppliers? How does that all work?
Yeah, sure. So there's plenty of different ways to achieve that, and we've had recent examples. In particular, one that we signed a design and build contract for yesterday with Waitaki District Council. You'll see a nice smiley Peter Biggs, CEO of Apollo Projects, signing up for that, where that was a tendered design and build contract where they set their budget and their requirements and went to the market to request designs and their contractors, and they selected their the best value one that they wanted from that. So that's one example, but there is plenty of other ways. You could select a contractor based on non-price attributes and then work with them and hitting a budget. And there's plenty of other options as well. So we'd certainly be happy to share some of those ideas and give some thoughts for you as to how it might work best for Gisborne.
Thanks, Simon.
Hey Simon, thanks a lot for taking the time to talk to us today, and also thank you for your written submission. It has taken us read, and thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thank you very much, Your Worship, and thank you, elected members.
Okay, Peter, you are next. Peter Weir from Earnslaw 1. Peter, can you hear us?
Loud and clear, Your Worship. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hey, welcome to the Gisborne District Council. It is lovely to have you online. Peter,
Okay, well, thank you very much. Look, I'm conscious I've got to manage my time pretty carefully, don't I?
This is what I'm getting to. You've got roughly 5 minutes. Also take into account that we have received your written submission, so that is taken as read. So you've got about 5 minutes to share thoughts with us, and there might be some questions in the end, there might not be, but hey, the floor is yours.
Okay, my first question is, are the media present? Because that may constrain free and frankness in any Q&A session.
The media is 100% present.
Hello, media. Okay, all
Of the
right.
Gisborne District Council. The media is
Look, I thought I'd start by setting a little bit of a scene about Earnslaw. You probably don't know much about us, although we've been in New Zealand for over 30 years, pushing 35 years now. And I think we actually are the largest forest owner in Gisborne, although not necessarily the largest landowner by far. Look, the last time I interacted with your council was when the affable Ming Foon was mayor, and I see Ming's on the run sheet today. But I really haven't engaged with you folks for a few years, although I am on your planned development working group that's happening at the moment. About us, we inject about $1 million into your economy per week. So round about 52 million a year. Our land holdings, we manage 40,000 hectares of rateable land, of which 27,000 hectares is planted largely in radiata. But, you know, it's significant. We've got about 13,000 hectares in native forest reserves, which we manage, which we pay rates on, but it's not part of our so-called productive base yielding logs. Of that, there's a variety of land tenures we manage, of course. 8,000 hectares of our 40,000 are freehold owned by Earnslaw, and that's what we call our Marta Forest on the Ihongia Road. But on behalf of another New Zealand-owned company, a family company, we manage another 12,000 hectares for them in that total of 40,000. So I'm also submitting on behalf of Timbergrow Limited, which is a related family company. As I say, a variety of tenures. We rent Crown Forest lease termination forests from Ngāti Porou. We hand that land back to Ngāti Porou forests after we harvest. We lease the Waipoua lease from farmer David Clark, and we lease Mangatu Forest, which is still a Crown Forest lease with 3 competing treaty claims over it. So in many respects, we're a tenant growing trees on other people's lands, but clearly we pay the rates. In terms of rates paid, we pay an average of $16 a hectare, but that ranges from $30 a hectare for our post-89 forests that are in the ETS, because clearly they're of the way the valuation methodology in New Zealand works, they are of higher value, down to our least cost rating forest is $9 a hectare, and that's a pre-1990 forest whose value is constrained because the ETS took away land use flexibility and it generates no revenue in the ETS. Our total rates bill to you folks is currently we're paying $591,000 a year, and with your rate increase that goes up to $651,000 or thereabouts. Hey, in the big picture, I realise that inflation costs are real, roading costs are huge, they never come down, and you've got the 3 waters to address as one of your big ticket items. Earnslaw as a company benefits hugely from your roading, and that's where in partnership with you and very much dependent on you. So if I quickly move to my submission points, which will take as read, I use your online submission form. I've numbered them, the thing that came out is numbered. My first big point is land affected by plan changes, and we're hugely sensitive to what overlay 3B may do to us, and I will be involved in that process. Ideally, I'd like us to be able to partnership with you, or forestry companies to partnership with council to go to the Crown to seek a Public Works Act buyout offer for land that gets designated as overlay 3B. We don't want any more native land. We basically end up with a stranded asset. If a plan change prevents us from growing a plantation crop on it, we would happily entertain an offer from the Crown to buy out land designated as 3B. I'm not suggesting compulsory purchase because I realise that won't work for Ngāti Porou. There's a whole vexed issue there around treaty claims as to what 3B may do. But from our perspective, if significant hunks of our forests get designated overlay 3B, then I would gladly sell them to the Crown. And on an earlier map we saw, half of Mangatu Forest, half of 12,000 hectares was slated to go into 3B. That's huge. We actually think it's misplaced because Mangatu Forest is a lovely forest on very different geology to what's in behind Tolaga Bay and did not generate significant landslides in the cyclones. So, but that's a train that's sort of yet to leave the station, overlay 3B. Amongst our land holdings, 2,000 hectares of our land is already designated SNAs by council, significant natural areas. Effectively, that puts a do not disturb sign on land. We think it's unfair that we pay a targeted rate forestry on that land. However, we also realise it's a zero-sum game. If you were to give us rate remissions for land designated SNA, which I looked to paragraph 7.1 of your Natural Heritage and Culture chapter, and proposing you do add SNA designations along with QE covenants and other matters, but inevitably that you've still got your costs to recover for roading and Three Waters and other council costs. So I realise that would mean a rate increase across our other land, but I don't think it's fair or equitable that land that's designated SNA should be rated and absolutely should not be paying a targeted rate to pay for forestry consumption of roads when that land never will and never can generate any road demand whatsoever. I'm probably running out of time. I'm allowing you to be the timekeeper, so wave your hand once I've exceeded my time allocation.
You've got so it would be timely for you to wrap up maybe in the next minute or so?
Sure. Just a wording of one of your things. You talk about road damage in your discussion document. That's unfair. Heavy trucks consume roads. Roads have a design life. Once they meet the end of the design life, they need rehabilitation. Trucks don't damage roads, trucks consume roads. That's a subtle little nuance, but roads are there to be used to facilitate growth of the economy, not to be destroyed. That's the wrong thinking. And I did advocate that if you've got a chance of rebuilding bridges, there's not much point in rebuilding bridges with intermediate supports, given that in landslides, in cyclones, in the new norm of a changed climate, you are going to always get landslides, which will bring woody debris down rivers. If you look at the Ihongia Bridge on the Marta Road, that's exactly what, and I've worked in North America, Alaska, British Columbia, that's what people design bridges for. Lots of freeboard underneath, so when woody debris goes down rivers, as indeed it will, there's nothing to get hung up on. So rebuilding bridges with intermediate supports is just setting them up to trap woody debris yet again. I'll stop at this point and go to Q&A.
Thank you for that, Peter, much appreciated, and as always, thank you also for your well thought out written submission. Are there any questions? Councillor Gregory.
Thank you, Peter. At the start you said that the forestry and your part of forestry gives $1 million to our economy a week. I was just wondering where you got that from.
Our annual budget, our accounts, I know what we spend. That's our outgoings on harvesting contractors, on trucking, on silviculture, and staff in Gisborne, our payroll, plus, and rates represent about, what, 1% of that at the moment. So I was just setting a scene for, you know, we inject $1 million a week into your local economy.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Peter, for your submission. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thank you. A pleasure to engage. We should keep talking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I welcome Sheridan and Lyle. Welcome.
And it's the third time done.
We're going to try the clicker. We'll see how it goes with the clicker. So both of you have made submissions before. You've got roughly 5 minutes, and we'll see how that clicker goes. And thank you also for your submission. It is well thought through, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
It's just coming up.
For allowing us to speak to our submission, and some of you have heard before, and some people are new what I'm going to talk about now.
Speak up.
Sorry, I can
Speak
do that
up.
easily.
Yep.
Our trust, Tarawhiti Trails Trust, is acutely aware of the financial burdens the district and council faces and the need for financial prudence. I said that before, and but we need a bright star to shine from the gloom. The Tarawhiti River Trail is the bright star people need to bolster spirits, attract and keep people in the district, and most importantly, get our people moving safely to education, to services and to business. We applaud the Council's focus on supporting people easily and safely walk, cycle and use public transport to improve health, economic and social outcomes now and for future generations. This project is a 100-year project. It's built to last. And its proposed budget of $3.3 million for the Tarawhiti Trail on the LTP, it's been there since 2017. It's actually a long-term strategic goal, and in 2027, when most of this money, if you do, it continues in the budget, it's 10 years beyond that, and the project's been around for much longer. We could, in its conjunction with Council Manawhenua and the community, use this $3.3 million to stretch as far as we can, probably more than 1 kilometre from Mitre 10 Gardens. By using funds differently, we could get the most of the trail open, used by walkers and cyclists faster, and help unleash the total wellbeing dividends to our community. Our vision for the Tarawhiti Trail is to be a safe, shared path, to use city rivers and parks for 4.5 kilometres. And as I've talked about before, to run through the centre of our community, a community where 23,000 people live within 1.6 kilometres of the trail route, so a 5-minute bike ride, and serving for people going to schools, to recreation, to businesses and neighbourhoods. Much of the proposed trail is within the Council's own reserve land, already maintained and paid for by the Council. Knowing there's a plan in place will help the Council guide its current maintenance costs, and we've got some ideas there.
No, Sheridan need to click for it to go. Oh, you frozen. You'll have to.
There is a partnership in place between our trust and Heritage Tarawhiti. We've been working with Manawhenua on this trail vision and on heritage and interpretation, telling the stories of all our people and place. We've also been working jointly with Trust Tarawhiti, developing trail maps and brochures. We've been talking recently, and this is some engagements in about the last 6 weeks, with a number of people, including mana whenua, and I think the one thing that's coming through from all our engagements, and they've been going on for some time, hundreds and hundreds of engagements. If you go to the next slide, I mean that really sincerely. People would tell us if they're against it or got concerns, and they're not. Feedback has been really, really positive. We want to continue to work with Council to determine the best route for the trail. We ask that routes and options analysis is complete and consulted on, and before any money is sent, and that's going to take some time. What we're thinking as an option for the trail, got that trail map up there, and this is just one of the number of options that need to be analysed. So we're just putting this up to get one of those. One idea is to continue the trail from the bottom of Derby Street by Mitre 10 along Aberdeen Road to Thompson Street, through to Botanical Gardens, across to Aberdeen Road, and we think that's a cheaper option, would be then going along the riverside of Aberdeen Road on a separated on-road path similar to what's been done in Crawford Road. The trail would cross the Stanley Road Bridge, then Grundy Street to Atkinson Street, along the riverside all the way to Lytton Road, under the bridge through Nelson Park to Kempton. In time, the trail will continue along the river to Karakia and beyond, and of course, as I talked about last time I was here, there's a whole section to the left-hand side of Gladstone Road that will take it back eventually as a circular trail back to Midway Beach. It would be a staged approach. Numerous sites for heritage trail signage and PO have been identified, and that bit on the left is just some of those things that have been identified. The vision for the trail with heritage interpretation along the river has the potential to involve many facets of the community. This will enrich the lives of our people and the residents there as they use the various methods of transport to learn, to go to places of learning, to places of work, to places to shop, to places to play and to connect, and learn via the heritage interpretations and signage and PO that they'll see along the way. We think that will become an important tourist attraction, we really do, an easily assessed trail by the river, through the park, with stories about our people and our play, and getting off the cruise ship and just going on a very safe trail right around the district. Please keep this funding in place in the 3-year plan, and let's get the money going further. Let our team help Council and mana whenua and all those that consult to lead the project to a construction, work with the consultants, develop a case, looking at options and costs, and help in some way fund the local share. So that's the project, the wellbeing benefits, and I've seen the case that was done on an economic model from the Wakatahi side of things, and I don't think they take all the benefits. But if the money spent is really modest, then the benefits are a really high striking dividend. So that's a dividend that you get every year for 100 years. So that's that balance that council must strike. And it's, it is a very good dividend if we can do it modestly, but preserve it to be a solid surface and safe.
Thank you, Lyle. Oh, good. And thank you also for your written submission. Any questions of Lyle or Sheridan?
Just one, have you had, you spoke to us about 2 months ago about this project. Have you had progress since that last conversation with us?
So we've got a MOU sitting, I think, with your legal team at the moment to be gone over. So, yeah, we're just waiting for that to get to a conclusion. We're desperately keen to work together, I think that will be a really good project that the council can do with a community group I think you can really trust.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to come and see us today. Was there another question? Teddy?
Well, I just biked past Mitre 10 yesterday, and there's a lot of, by Mitre 10 there, and there's a lot of diggers and stuff. Is that part of your work? Or?
No, that's council itself, working with Mitre 10, I think, owners, because it may be their land, I think.
We are doing that bit up so that wheelchair users and bikes and pushchairs can carry on. Real foggy bit there.
Thank you. That too.
All good. Thank you. Ming Foon, I'll lay the rules down once you sit. Under different management. I do remember when people would make submissions and you would be very loose with the time. Thank you for your written submission as well. 5 minutes, I saw the clock here, the clock didn't run the previous one, because I just keep my eye on the clock. You know the game. People can only ask questions and no debating. None of that. The floor is yours.
Ia mōrena tātou, tuatahi tākune mihi kia tātou mate huhua. Tēnei rā ko Mel Pewhairangi, ko Whitirangi tia. One of our stalwarts from the East Coast, Tukumaru Bay. She's departed us, but she's left a rich heritage and teachings for all of us. Anyway, morning councillors, awesome to see you again. I'm going to focus with what I want first. Okay, I would like the Tātapauri car park to be tar sealed for the benefit of all of us that are there operators, but also for the public. It's been there, we're actually one of the very few top iconic tourism areas in the whole of the Kairawhiti, Dive Tātapauri, including Tātapauri Camp. With your water, I would recommend that you actually add 25 cents or more to the per litre of water, per cubic of water that you're going to charge, because you need to actually look out for the future. And if you help yourselves, you'll be able to accumulate funding for future of Three Waters or water development. Don't keep it at the same. We did this with the wastewater treatment plant. We said, look, 50 cents a week for people in town, and we accumulated about $18 million in 10 years. The port farms were the we made the right decision to keep it at that time. It was selling for around about $16 million. That was the tenders coming in. Today, it's probably about 100 or thereabouts with the stock and everything. Now, you can't own an asset that loses money, but you can actually be responsible for the future generations and at least exploring what are the options of keeping the farm and having it in a managed investment fund. And from my personal Kiwi saver from Milford, I get around about 17% net, all right? And so I would recommend that once you explore the options, if the money is going to come back, you have it under the council so that it is tax-free, okay? Because you'll be applying those funds for the well-being of your community as you need money. I know that money is tight. The other bits and pieces is just bits and pieces. Look, you can't go and charge $206 for your scientists a year, per hour. You know, that comes to $428,000. I think that's more than what Nadine gets. I'm not quite sure what she gets, but more than what the chief executive. So you need to actually be reasonable to actually do cost recovery and not charge the public outrageous fees, as the cost of everything has gone up for all of us. And also, I fully support the Tauranga walkway. You need to make your fees consistent with the council's photocopying, even though it might be minor, it's cheaper at the library than it is in the council. So succinctly, that is my submission. I'm looking forward to you at least exploring the most important part of the submission is not only the tar sealing of the Tātapauri car park, but also the exploration of options for returns for the Tauwhare Parae farms. If you come up with scientific research from what are the best income for the farm, I'm sure that you will have to release it. And I'm not a protester of releasing it, but we've kept it for this time. If you know that if you have $100 million and you put it in the bank, even in the bank at 6%, you're going to get 6 million without doing anything, right? But the diminishing yields of a $100 million farm at 1% or even minus does not make financial sense for the Gisborne District Council. The new Plymouth District Council, with 22 seconds to go, they get around about $19 million back into their coffers from their investment of the farms. So that is the financial benefit to the community from the farms. Nō reira, tēnā tātou.
Kia ora, thank you, Ming. Any questions, Debbie?
Kia ora, Ming, for your submission. Does the council own that car park?
Yes.
And some people might think that, maybe the businesses that are benefiting from it might want to seal it. What would you say?
So we independently, there's no council services and anything. We come off the state highway. We pay around about $10,000 or $12,000 in rates a year. It'll probably be increasing this year because of the capital value of our place. We supply our own water, sewage and everything. So, like most car parks, Makarori car park has been task-heeled. The businesses are there for all of us, so it's good for the region as well.
Have you consulted the fishing community that used the RAP about parceling?
Yes, so Dive Tātapori Fishing Club and Tātapori Bay are the three businesses that are users, that are operators that are there, and they have made constant submissions over the last few years to the council. So not just us. Yeah, absolutely. Don't do it alone.
Thank you, mate. Thank you for your well thought out written submission. You, yeah?
Yep. Awesome.
Take care. Thanks, Ming.
Hopefully we come full. Good to see you.
Next, I would welcome Simon. Thank you, Simon. I don't have to run through the rules with you because you have been here listening all the time. Please make yourself home, relax, where you stand. You've got roughly 1 minute. But please relax. We are here to listen. Thank you.
Mayor, councillors, first I don't want to miss the opportunity to say thank you to all of you. I know you work very hard. I'm in awe of the amount of reports and documents you have to read before any meeting, the consultation, the feedback. In all the being a councillor is not for faint-hearted. Many thanks also for making yourselves available for the consultation for the 3-year plan. That was really helpful. I know you're all motivated foremost to do your best to make Gisborne of it the best it can be. I offer my feedback in the same spirit. I find the format of council's online service very manipulative, laying them out in such a way to extract certain desired outcomes. Based on Deputy Mayor's advice, I'm giving my freestyle. Foremost is financial sustainability and viability of the council. If we go broke by continuing to borrow more and more money, we won't be able to afford the basics, let alone the nice to have ones. So it's important that council sticks to the basics: roads, tree waters, flood resilience, emergency services, etc. Increasing council debt is not prudent. Increasing the years the rates year after year is not prudent. Please send the 3-year plan back to our capable CEO and request a 3-year plan with no rate increase and no borrowing. We only have around 20,000 ratepayers and more than $6,000 debt per household already. This is not sustainable. Ratepayers cannot continually bear the burden of council's continual rate increases. The CEO to merge some managerial positions and reduce staff level to reduce expenses. Ask council to get rid of all non-essential, non-core projects. Council is like any other business. It needs to deliver within a certain budget. A good manager in each council department needs to be given the first criteria as affordability. I find a great irony in council having sustainability manager, yet financial sustainability of council is under threat. The interest alone paid on debt every year is shocking. As people are tightening their belts, council should do the same. Our children and grandchildren will have their own challenges. If anything, we need to leave a nest egg for them to deal with future challenges. We need to ask for some more accountability for our rates. The cracks in the footpaths and potholes in the street, accumulated sewage overflows, rubbish dumps all over the place. If some escapes in troubled spot, people can't afford it, that's why they're dumping it. Just make it easy for them. Do a better job to make sure ratepayers get a good value for money spent on road footpath repairs. What is wrong with quality of bitumen? Why road repairs don't last? So much of our rates go to fixing of roads, we can expect better quality. Reduce consultant fees as much as possible. Use this sparingly and prudently. Listen to locals. They can give you the best advice, better than any consultant. Get systems in place for rapid slash removal from waterways in case of extreme rain events to minimize the damage. Communicate with locals to have better understanding about hot spots for slash accumulation. Need for bigger culverts and replacing the damaged ones. Drop all the new cycleway costs. That would be a saving of $3.27 million. Tell the cycling lot to do their own fundraising or get money from Trust Harafeti. Ratepayers cannot be expected to keep paying for this, where the usage doesn't justify them. Same with revitalizing CBD. Divert that to Trust Harafeti, another $3 million saving. Drop all expenses related to mode shift and active travel mode. They are nonsense ideological pursuits. Drop them. Fix the potholes in the road, cracks in the footpaths, and provide safe crossings. Drop $500,000 for city center multimodal gap analysis. Align yourself with the new central government policies, which are not going to waste any more money on projects like Gray Street 1. Approach Trust Harafeti, Lottery Commission, etc. for Kiva pools, $6.5 million. Regarding violent native reversion program, $5.8 million. Please scale it down to only what is needed to protect water pipelines. Advocate the central governments to get more money out of carbon credit fund to deal with the damages caused by slash. Also get some of that GST back from central government. Advocate for more money for our district for flood protection and resilience building. We are bearing the brunt of many wrong central government policies. 1 billion trees, carbon farming, etc. Negotiate with forest owners with cleanup costs, investigate methods for turning slash to cash and using it as a resource. Stop putting fluoride in our public water. It's a toxin. Join other countries which are doing something about this. How much does it cost for countries to put a poison in our drinking water? It is against our human rights to be medicated, let alone to put a neurotoxin in our water. Finally, I want to ask Council to put more into communication with Gisborne Herald, maybe get rid of those full-page ads and instead engage the community in more meaningful ways. Maybe every week offer a column by a councillor on a different topic and seek feedbacks. Thank you.
Questions of Finland councillors? Thank you very much. Thank you, Simon. Thank you also for your written submission, much appreciated. Okay, councillors, I welcome Adrian Cave. How are you? I also don't have to tell you the rules because you have been listening in as well, so thank you for taking the time. You and I will navigate the clicker, we'll see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Once it's up, let's
So
just...
I'll make a couple of apologies. These slides, there's a couple of yeah.
You can take a seat. Make yourself at
I
home.
will.
Thank you for taking the time. Also, thank you for your written submission and well thought through. And the floor is yours. You've got roughly 5 minutes, and there might be some questions or there might not.
If I speak really fast, I can do it in 5 minutes.
There we go, Adrian. All good.
Thank
Thank you. And the clicker is working. I've just checked it. So you can read here if you
Where am I pointing
just
it?
there. Just yep. There we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. In 1776, Adam Smith published his magnus opus, the seminal work, The Wealth of Nations, How Wealth is Created. It's a reflection on the division of labour, productivity and markets, and it marks the codification of modern-day economic theory. And why does that matter? Because the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. Quite simply, there are net wealth creators and net wealth consumers. And the thing is that Gisborne District Council does not live in a bubble. They cannot ignore the macroeconomics. Economics is money, it's supply, and the law of large numbers. Money just doesn't simply appear not anywhere. Is that right?
I think you click and then you wait a second before you click it again to see if I got the magic touch today. No, I do not have the magic touch. Here, oh, there we go.
This way.
Super.
This way.
Is that the one you're after?
Yep.
There we go. All good. You just click towards Heather.
Okay. The basis for GDC's future monetary predictions is the Cost Adjusters 2023 final report produced by Burl. Last updated in October 2023, it plots a scenario for the economic future of New Zealand. And why is that important? Because by Gisborne District Council's own admission, it's taken the wrong advice on the economy and interest rates in New Zealand since 2020, which has resulted in an inability to balance its budget. I'm sure you've all read the report and are more than aware that it painted a far from rosy picture of the future, predicting a flattening of the economy, high interest rates, reduced consumer spending, increased unemployment and a plateauing of inflation. So even in the face of this lipstick on a pig report, bizarrely, GDC's financial plan is based on increasing the principal debt from $145 million, not in line with any projection of inflation, but by 70%, from $145 million to $233 million. And if that's not outrageous enough, the plan wants to increase the rates paid by the 20,400 properties by 30%. No?
Backwards. See that? Yep. There we go. Thank you.
So now we have the actual figures for the last 3 quarters since June 2023 financial year and since the Burl projections were published. We also have the May 2024 Reserve Bank Financial Stability Report and the March 2024 Ministry of Finance Budget Policy Statement. So how are the future predictions from the Burl report playing out? To no one's great surprise, it's not good. Treasury reported a deficit of $5 billion in the first 3 quarters of this year. That's up a staggering $619 million more than expected. Meanwhile, the OECD reports that New Zealand taxpayers' effective tax is higher than any other developed country. So let's look at some numbers. Oops, looks like I skipped one there somewhere. Should be up. Okay. So let's look at some numbers on slide 6. A miserly projected GDP increase of 1.5% is actually 0.6% year on year, and right now it's tracking at a minus 0.1%. When it comes to CPI, they projected a 5% increase, and it's currently tracking at 4%. When it comes to unemployment, they were projecting an unemployment rate of 3.6%. It's currently tracking at 4%, which incidentally means a 32% rate of unemployment. So there's a wrong heading on this slide here. It's not the 2-year cash rate, cash swaps. The projected wholesale interest rates, which is indicated here, that graph is actually the overnight cash rate, which is the rate that wholesale banks and institutions can borrow at. It's a continuing rising trend from 2021 up to the present, and it's now at 5.5%, which is the highest since 2009. There's no forward-looking optimism in these figures. So to summarise the last few slides, that's a collapse in the GDP, sticky inflation, and increasing unemployment. I think I'm ahead of myself here. So, sorry, while I don't expect you councillors to particularly follow geopolitics, treasuries, bond futures or capital markets, I would expect you to read and interrogate the council's own commission documents and at least have a passing interest in the government's policy statement, budget policy statement. Just the overviews, let alone the granular, of the Reserve Bank and the budget statement shows that we almost certainly qualify the requirements for stagflation. Right now, we've got a slowing economic growth, rising unemployment, high inflation, falling demand, stagnant wages, high interest rates, a decreasing business investment, and an increase in government debt. So aside from the aluminium smelter, the New Zealand economy is basically an agricultural economy. It's whatever we can sell our dairy, livestock, arable, forestry, fruit and veg for. The Reserve Bank specifically acknowledges that with the sole exception of dairy, these sectors are under high stress with increased costs and reduced returns, both nationally and internationally. It's worth mentioning at this point that one of the huge drivers of this misery is that in the last 6 years, as a direct result of shutting down its oil and gas industry in 2018, we've lost $2.5 billion a year, the second highest contributor to the GDP. And the government has lost direct royalty revenue of $750 million a year, and none of that's coming back. No industrialised economy on earth has ever had economic stability without control over its energy sources, and New Zealand is now left at the mercy of having to import all of its energy requirements from a global market that is both tightening and prone to supply constrictions. But there is good news here. With no irony or sarcasm whatsoever, the only 2 sectors in New Zealand that are growing is the public sector and public debt. The state of the country's finances are ruinous, and as Nicola Willis is finding out, there are no easy options. To quote her, the structural increase in spending means that the government would be in deficit and need to borrow to cover this deficit Even if the economy was operating at full capacity, it is not sustainable. Meanwhile, the Reserve Bank has indicated there is no likelihood in the base rate being lowered, and Treasury bonds continue to trend upward to over 10-year highs. Yeah, okay. That's it, I've just got this to do. So the GDC area represents 1% of the New Zealand population. It contributes less than 0.07% to the New Zealand economy. It's a net recipient of taxpayer monies from New Zealand from outside of the GDC area. The area wealth generation relies almost exclusively on beef, sheep, forestry and horticulture. And as noted already, these are all financially struggling sectors. The wake-up call from the budget policy statement is what any household could have told you. As Margaret Thatcher so succinctly summarised, the trouble with socialism is eventually it runs out of other people's money. We are there now, the cupboard is now bare. As the Reserve Bank says in its May report, most borrowers have had to reprice onto higher interest rates. Householders are having to reduce their spending and some have reduced their principal repayments to make debt servicing more affordable. For a utilitarian area district council with only 8,684 rateable units, a working age population of 20,400 persons, of which only 12,000 are actually wealth creators, it is a complete and utter folly for this council to continue with its nonsense of fiscal irresponsibility. Implementing this plan will only further add to the ruin of New Zealand's struggling economy. And even under the Council's own policy of prudence and intergenerational equity and its obligations under the Local Government Act, the councillors must reject this plan. It must insist there can be no increase in debt or in the rates, and it must force the council to put on big boy pants. It must go back to the drawing board and make hard decisions. They're more than well enough remunerated for doing that, and they must concentrate what money there is on core activities of maintaining basic infrastructure. In short, we must do as the councillors, as householders and ratepayers have been forced to do, which is reducing spending and reducing the principal debt.
Well done, Adrian. So I've just gone through your submission again. I see you've got a lot of...
Well, yeah.
Any questions,
Councillor?
Councillor Gregory.
Thank you for that. And you've got a vast knowledge of grassroots economy and macro economics, etc. I'm just wondering about your background.
I'm an overly.
Don't say
I'm an
that.
odd jobs man. No, yeah. Originally I'm
Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
You seem to be quite good with figures. On our current projection, if we make an assumption, can you give us a ballpark in how many years our rates will double?
Sorry?
In how many years' time will our rates double on our current trajectory?
I'm not sure that I will.
No, I thought you might.
Thank you for your time, and yeah, you can't expect someone just to whip out numbers. But
Oh,
anyway,
no, that's fine. No, I don't, I'm sure the finance will.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time, Adrian. Much appreciated.
The answer is 5 years.
Okay, councillors. I welcome Winnie Ruru.
It's not here and she can't be here.
Okay, so then we'll play Manu's submission. Manu is currently in Europe, but there's a pre-recorded video that Heather will play. Thank you. Okay, Heather, while you sort that, I just quickly, councillors, I just quickly wanted to say something to us. All of you know that May, she didn't make a formal submission, but she has asked me if you all know that May has always been rail action group, and you just wanted to make sure councillors know. So May, maybe just a quick 1 minute, talk about your passion for the rail, and then all councillors have heard. You can take a seat or you can stand, whatever suits you. I'm next to you, so you can relax. You sit down, do your chat with us while Heather gets that sorted. So if you want to have a quick chat, good.
When I first started on the railway action group, because I used to go on a train to live into Hamilton, and when I first moved into Gisborne, went on a train to Gisborne to Hastings, and I love it so much. It was a great trip, and I want the railway back. So I must get Kiwi Rail, wake up, fix up the railway line. Doesn't matter how much it costs. You must get the railway back. I used to travel the train a lot. I still do. I never gave up railway action group meeting. I never give up. I love it so much. I always wanted the editor back to railways. I wanted them back to railways, and they're very happy with me. So I must get it back somehow. Love that singers cover, but the money. We need the money from the tree. I had to get the money from the government somewhere. A big slip, what's that slip? We can't stand any nonsense.
Submission based on the questions.
Well, as in group people getting sick of it. I've seen train come to Gisborne, I love it. You know that, what's it called now? 8 p.m. people come to Gisborne, Artico, they went on the train, Napier to Gisborne on the train that day, and they went home again, and they dress up nice, with the railway station, I saw the Artico dress up on the train, Napier to Gisborne, and now they've gone back again, I'm missing it badly. I used to go to the railway station a lot, a lot, and I'm missing it badly. I missed it so badly, I never give up. I loved them so much. Thank you so much.
Bye. Yeah. See you, May. Take care, my friend. Okay, lucky last today is a pre-recording from Manukadi. Thank you, Heather.
Kia ora everybody, this is a presentation from Te Weu Charitable Trust. We've made a submission based on the questions and the priorities that you fellas had, and I guess these are our other priorities that we'd like you to pay some consideration to during your deliberations over the next day or two. Just wanted to highlight the situation again that we're all aware of. The region is a bit stuffed. We know there's massive infrastructure repair costs. There's this reliance on really unsustainable industries, particularly pasture and plantation pine, that we're already struggling to survive in the current market, and really need to shrink their footprint in the region quite dramatically. We're of course expecting more damaging events to occur in the region, and finding ourselves in a situation where central government is really unwilling to support the rapid and just transition at this stage. And I think that's an area that we'd like to see council put some more effort into, lobbying central government hard to make Tairāwhiti a special case. And I just note the great leadership that was demonstrated by council last year, the challenges in an environment where there's a lot of stress and just big obstacles for the region to overcome, and really need you guys to step up and be leaders in the situation in your communities, beyond the communities that you might usually connect with, and help us as a region to build consensus around the way forward. So from our perspective, there is opportunity in this situation if we get really serious about resilience planning and the action that needs to come after the plans. There's that need for local level capability building and capacity development within each catchment, within each community, that council can play a significant role in when staff are focused on that rather than just their own day jobs, sort of, the activities that they otherwise committed to. Actually using them to build capability in the community is a great way to maximise that resource. Just encourage you to be the champions for the environment, for future generations, to be bold with the science that proves pasture and pine on erosion-prone land is a terrible idea, was a terrible idea, still is. And it's not about trying to find a balance between the environment and the economy. It has to be about soil conservation. If we don't do that, we're going to end up, as in this picture, with nothing really to live on. And so needs the environment to be looked after properly, and then work out what industry, ways of living are actually sustainable when we do look after the land better. And we'd also encourage you to recruit more expertise, both at a local level, but also nationally and even internationally, to help us. These are wicked problems, very big challenges, with a small, struggling team that you've got there. And there's a lot of expertise around that can help and would want to help. So encourage you to dedicate resource to recruiting that help and building the science team beyond a few committed individuals, but who have limited capacity themselves and limited expertise. So just finally, our recommendations, we encourage council to take strong leadership, take that role seriously, dedicate resources to the planning and a more active role in planning the future of the regional economy, I think is justified. It's unfashionable these days since the 1980s when everyone thought the market would take care of things, but very clearly we need to think carefully about what industry is truly sustainable and viable in Tairāwhiti, and find the investment to get those industries going or expand them if they're already there. And I think council needs to work with Trust Tairāwhiti and other stakeholders to identify those opportunities and really make them happen. You've got a lot of influence as a regulator, but just as a regional leadership organisation to drive some of that thinking and the change that needs to happen quickly so that we can secure that private investment into those new sectors. And just finally, we support the submissions of the Gisborne Senior Climate Action Group that encouraged you to think beyond just rural township plans and dedicate resources to communities of interest within the region, in the city as well, to support climate adaptation planning and action. Te Weroia Wenare to support the mode shift of transport, especially amongst our young ones, and the regional resource recovery centres being promoted by Tairāwhiti Environment Centre. I think that those are really important transition opportunities as well, so endorse those and support their submissions. Kia ora.
Kia ora to the pre-recorded message. This brings us to the end of our submissions. I do want to acknowledge the public that has been part of this for the last 2 days. I want to acknowledge everyone that took the opportunity to write a submission, come and talk to these submissions. And I think for us that have been part of the last 2 days, you can see how interested the community are in the different and diverse inputs. Some people want us to spend more in certain areas. Some people absolutely don't want us to spend more in that specific area. Some people want us to do a little bit less here, where other people want us to do more. So it's that balancing act, trying to, at the end of the day, make sure we have 50,000 people with 50,000 opinions in our region, and trying to see how we bring it all together. But it makes it easier for us when people do come and talk to us and people do engage and let us know. Because at the end of the day, everyone that joined the council table do it because they love our region. They put their time and their effort forward, by no means saying they make the right decisions every time and know exactly what is the best, but they do it with the best intent. So thank you for taking the time to come and share your thoughts with us. This will be discussed on the 30th of this month. 11th, I'm lying. It is the, no, isn't it the 11th now?
16th.
Oh yes, it's the 11th of June. This will be discussed, 1 o'clock, if you are interested to see how we go then. So thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you. Council today. Thank you for taking the time to come and share with us. You can come and sit right next to me here. That's all good. You come and take a seat here. Councillors, and you will see what number presentation is 14. Yourself at home. You'll see there's a clock back there that is just to remind you we're trying to stick roughly 5 minutes. But you do your thing, and we are here to listen. Please relax, this is your time, and councillors are here to listen to you. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
My name is Belinda Doe, and I live at 48 Angamai Road, Whatatutu. Our house was fully flooded by the Gabriel cyclone. My husband Tipi Rudu was at home to witness the flood, which came to our house and his truck. Myself, my mother, were both in Auckland Hospital looking after my sister, my mother at home. My mountain is Manahomia, not Manahomia. My awa is Mangatu and my husband is Awa River. Iwi Ariki, Ngā Ariki ai Pitahi. My mai is Te Manui. My waka is Te Kanui Arauru. My whenua is Pāwhaka. My tikana kraua is Rawiri Tamanui. My son is Pira. His son is Pira Te Utuku Tamanui. My great-grandmother is Mary Ida Te Utuku Tamanui. My grandfather is Tikani Steve Ru Wainui. My mother is Tamara Hoia Wainui. Winnie Rudd is my name. I'm coming this morning to Dad's whakapapa too this morning. So I've not too long.
Take your time.
His whakapapa is Hukurarangi Te Maunga. Waiapa Te Awa, Ngāti Pro Te Iwi. Te Purua is his marae. Ngāti Rangi is his hapu. His name is Peter Rana. Since the flood, we have been attending our hui with all the flood victims meeting together at Te Karaka School. It has been very beneficial as we talk to one another about our homes who's been flooded, who hasn't been. It was mainly for a victim. And look forward to the next orders from Malikiaho as we await our house to be lifted. At the last hui, the GDC were invited to talk to us, gave out papers to read, but also we give future. I read through the booklet, but on page 46 I saw a map that didn't include Wharaturu and the 3-year plan, so that's why I'm here. To be asking today to the council to be included in the 3-year plan, because we have roads that need repair, especially the dip when John Coates passed away, that's just for the Tuha Bridge, or after the Tuha Bridge, and that's still one of the so there was also a dip which is further along, just after Morris Moore's farm, and that's only got a one-way road to home. We have only one-way road to the drive on because of the cycling. The road is slowly slipping away and it needs much repair. But anyway, thank you for listening to me. And I just want to show you the map that I saw. Oh yes, one of the ladies was holding to the wall, and it has starts at the top for the Te Araroa, Te Kirangi Tukia, Kōria, Te Kuia Waipure Bay, Matawai, Tokomaru, Kekaraka, Tolaga Bay, Tene Roto, Manatuki, Muriwai, Hatutahi. And then I said to the lady, forgotten her name, she was at the desk, she said, the submission.
Thank you for that, and we will definitely take that into account as well when we discuss this on the 11th of June. Thank you for coming in, and it's much appreciated.
Thank you for coming to visit us. You know, we needed help, and it's going around everywhere. So, I heard that one of the councillors said that we are going to have another chat. I think it's beneficial.
Do you have a time frame for when your saying will be lifted? Okay, so it's happening very soon. Fantastic. Take care. Have a lovely rest of the day. Look after yourself. Okay. And this is an open meeting. If you wanted to sit and listen, feel free, but you can also come and go as. Take care. Yes, all good. Okay, councillors, I'm just going through my agendas to find the right one. Over to page 17. 17. Page 17 of our big agenda, our council agenda. You want to do it page 4? I don't want to go there. I want to go to page 17. Thank you very much, everyone. 1.7 is the paper that the lovely Kim wrote to to allow us, or Pauline wrote, Kim and Pauline signed off, just discussing what staff and councillors did in the last couple of months. I do want to take everyone's attention to attachment 2, which is on page 30, this one. Just shows us what has been done in the last while to engage with the public and trying to get public feedback, and trying to get councillors and trying to get staff to communicate with our public to get feedback. And I think they did a phenomenal job to, I do think they did a phenomenal job. There's print news, these posters, these ads in the paper, web pages, social media, face-to-face, and I do want to acknowledge councillors as well. Thank you for being part of this, lots of radio stuff. It takes all of us to pull our weight, so I did want to make sure, Nadine, you also acknowledge the team, the comms team, who have worked and liaised with everyone to try and make sure communities are served the way they deserve. If you go to page 19, that is just to note the contents of this report. I'm happy to move that. Seconded by Councillor Wharehinga. All in favour? Contrary? Carried. Heather, have I done all the submission stuff now? So we have now finished with our hearings. You would have seen that it's been updated in our calendars that we will, I actually have a Trust Rapid meeting that day. I see when it was updated, but I will hopefully that finish by 1. We will have it's Tuesday the 11th. Has everyone got that in their diary? Tuesday the 11th, between 1 and 4 o'clock that afternoon. Can you just please check that you have that in the diary? So please, you will also receive some more emailed copies from Heather. Some of the presentations we received today, people will just add to your pack. So please make sure you hang on to those, because we will be using that. Heather, I also want to acknowledge you. The way you laid it out for us this time made it really easy. The pack with the little submission and the number and the page number made it really, really easy to interact. So thank you also for that. Okay, councillors, next we are going to move to page 4, which is our local leadership body. I'm just going to ask Nadine to give us a bit of an overview. Some of you that are new on council will not know how it came about, but Nadine will give us an overview and the role we play in the LLB.
Thank you for your worship. So just checking everyone received the late agenda item related to the LLB. So that basically says that these appointments don't apply, and so this is why we need to confirm the members of council, of which one is already the mayor plus 5 councillors. So just in terms of the local leadership body, which kind of came enacted through the Ngāi Manahiri Claims Settlement Act in 2012. While it is a joint committee of council, it has been set up under legislation, which is, so it's not an orthodox committee of council per se, because the treaty settlement legislation is critical to the establishment of the local leadership body, and therefore those that are part of the local leadership body and council's members. The purpose of the local leadership body and acts are outlined under Act is to contribute to the sustainable management of the natural and physical resources in the LLB area, so the defined area, while recognising and providing for the traditional relationship of Ngāi Manahiri, Rongo Whakaata and Te Aitanga Mahaki and affiliates with their ancestral lands, water sites, wahi tapu and arohaunga. Really important to this also is that the committee is to, or the purpose of the local leadership body is to enable individuals and communities within the defined area, as resources allow us to provide for their social, economic and cultural well-being, and to improve outcomes in respect of their environment. Also is to ensure that the council is appropriately informed of its statutory obligations within the LLB area, including obligations in respect to te tiriti or waitangi arising under the Local Government Act and the Resource So with that core purpose in mind, the committee doesn't operate, so it's a committee for, as you're a member of that committee, you are signing up to the purpose of that committee. So your intentions to have that alignment around fulfilling the purpose and obligations of the local leadership body. So I'll just leave that there with you.
So the floor is open for questions or clarity, or if you want to, because this came about way back, and this is the first time that it is enacted since 2013, I think, 11.
2012, the Settlement Act came into force, and that's where the statutory purpose of the LLB plus all its membership and so forth has come into play.
Okay. You have a question, Councillor Foster? Or are you just waving at me?
No.
Well, there's a wave. I'll wave back, or you can ask a question.
So what power does LLB have on policy and direction, or things that we do within council? Does it recommend to council for us to recommend or adopt, or has it more power than a normal committee within council?
Yeah, so Section 46 of the legislation outlines its functions and powers of the LLB. Primarily, so the LLB can gather information, disseminate information, hold meetings, develop policies and strategies, monitor and evaluate the implementation and effectiveness of those policies and strategies. So they can do pretty much anything within that broad purpose, but anything that requires setting of resources or so forth can only still sit with council. So there's an intention there that with the functions of the local leadership body, or the support of the local leadership body, is that there's a 50-50 cost share in terms of the administrative support. So the LLB members, Māori members, will have their own contribution to administrative support, as does the council. So that was made in the legislation as well. But so what I'm saying is, effectively, there is stuff that the council can't delegate anyway, and it's like setting the long-term plan, annual plan, and council budgets still reside with the council. But that local leadership body can do a whole lot of other stuff within the purpose of and intention that it was set up to do, which is like policies, and could be that the council uses stuff, or how it gives effect to those policies that it eventually sets. So that's part of the setup stage. So the local leadership body will need to determine its own how standing orders might work, because it doesn't need to be
normal council.
Yeah, like as our other committees are under our governance structures.
So then the LLB committee makes recommendations to council.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So they can't do
So
that.
far that you decide that you want that to happen. So you could, like some of the other committees, you've delegated decision making to, for example, the Tairawhiti Resource Management Committee. You've delegated so far as delegatable to that committee RMA powers, and you could do the same with the joint committee.
So at the end of the day, council signs off on any policy recommendations or policy development or anything like that. They're the ones that sign off finally.
Not necessarily. Again, it comes down to what you've delegated into the committee. And this is all quite new for us too, so we have to kind of think about what those examples might be. I'm not sure, Jacinta, sorry to put you on the spot, if you've had a think about that.
Repeat that question, sorry.
So it's really about like the delegations of the committee and what they would need. As it is a joint committee of council, but set up under treaty legislation, how those delegations and powers would interact with one another. And so in my mind it would be that you've got, it's insofar as much as the council wishes to delegate into that joint committee.
Yeah, so I think primarily in the first instance it would be exercising its own statutory powers that it has under the settlement legislation. So those are set up to, the decision making in that context would be developing policies and strategies relevant to the purpose of the LLB itself. But then secondarily to also be inputting into the council decisions, so providing information to assist with the regional policy statement, for example, annual plan and long-term plan of the council, and also to provide advice to the council on applications for approvals, consents, and various other statutory roles that the council has. So that would be the primary function and power of the LLB. I haven't considered whether or not we would also have the ability to directly delegate the council's functions itself, but in the first instance there are certainly quite important roles for the LLB in its own right under the legislation.
So,
yep, you go.
So in a scenario, even say, so water allocation came up on the table, and there was an instruction that we reallocate our water to what the LARB is advising. I mean, I'm just using it as a scenario. Who makes that final decision? I mean, is it LARB has that right to be able to force that on council to approve, or does this council at the end of the day have that power to change that, or
if we gave that committee that power, then yes, we would be bound by that.
So the bigger question is, I think what Larry is trying to ask is, when do we decide where the delegation sits? Because today we're just talking about and who makes that decision? Is it a joint decision making?
Yeah, so as Jacinta said, there are certain things that are prescribed under the legislation, what's outlines the functions and the powers of the LLB. So it has within its own right the ability to make policies, the ability to gather information. It does not require council approval to do so, because it's consistent with the purpose of the LLB that's been set up. But if you're talking about something that's strictly and solely within the council's responsibility around, for example, the through a fresh water plan, the council would, in my mind, be required to take into account what the LLB has come up with, and the fact that you've got 5 councillors plus the mayor there, you're highly likely to have
you're on the same page.
Aligned.
I was just using it as an example, just the first thing that came to mind. So.
I think probably one of the key things is that Section 4...
Can I just ask that people put their hands up, because I've got 2 people in line already. Councillor Thompson, Elder, and then Robinson.
So it says it come about in 2012, so it's sort of 12 years ago this come into place, and we're just sort of implementing it now. Is there other councils in a similar situation that have gone ahead of us, or are we relying on this?
Through your worship, I don't know off the top of my head around a local, so no, there won't be any other local leadership body being set up like our local leadership body, but there are examples where there are iwi and council under other statutory type arrangements.
So would our JMA be an example of that?
It's a different type of example. So when Ngāti Porou settled, they didn't want a formal structure. They wanted to use a JMA approach to have a co-governance type relationship. Bay of Plenty has a number of these types of committees that are set up. Waikato has a statutory committee over the Waikato River. Auckland has its own Māori statutory board, so there's a number of different types of arrangements across the country.
Elder, Robinson, Wharehinga.
Thank you, Your Worship. Kind of been answered. I was going to ask how it was going to differ from the relationship we have with the Ngāti Porou group. And moving to a system like this, will Ngāti Porou like to move to a similar system? Or?
I can't speak for Ngāti Porou, just have to wait.
It is different.
But both of these committees, though, please correct me if I'm wrong, both of these committees were born out of treaty settlements. So the JMA committee was formed.
No, JMA was not
treaty.
Under a treaty
Oh,
settlement.
okay.
JMA
That's the difference.
Yeah, there was a mechanism within the RMA to do that in terms of a co-management relationship. But this was specifically required through settlement legislation by the Turanga Manu Whiri with a group actually come together to do that.
Okay. Robinson.
Just in relation to Larry's question, what's not covered in the paper, Larry, is that the functions of the LLB in achieving the purposes of the LLB is to provide information to assist the preparation of policies, to provide advice to council. And under Section 43, the says the purpose of the LRB is to contribute to the sustainable management. So it's really a advisory capacity by law. A guidance capacity, as opposed to this is how it needs to be done. But it should have the knowledge and ability to say this is how it should be done, and we should take that on board.
Yeah, because I would say through your worship that the members that are being appointed to those committees by iwi are not there in terms of a guidance capacity. They're there to meaningly contribute and act, the aspirations also for the region.
Councillor Wharehinga, thank you.
Very much, Your Worship. I actually want to move some recommendations. I don't have any questions in regards to this. Actually, I guess to preface the reason why I'm keen to move some recommendations is in my first term in council, in 2013, I was one of the appointees to the first LLB, and then I was an appointee to the LLB again, and then an appointee to the LLB again. It's never kind of got to this point where we're at today, which is getting off the starting line, and I'm really excited, which is why I'm really keen to move something. Just for context, I guess, out into the community, and for anyone who might listen to this recording later on, yes, this is 50% iwi, but it's also 50% council. There will be, we're expecting this committee to be able to hit the ground running in terms of conversations in order to be able to bring back some fruitful things that we can do in region to be able to move us forward. So I'm really excited for the future of this local leadership body. So on that note, I would like to move number 1, and let me know if I have to also move the late items. I can do that as well. But I would like to move on page 5. Number 1 confirms council local leadership body appointments thing, and I would like to nominate Councillor Gregory, Councillor Pāhuru-Huriwai, Councillor Cranston, Councillor Parata, and Councillor Tibble. And 2, instruct the Chief Executive to notify the Solicitor General of Council's appointments to the local leadership body. And if I had a second of that, would be great.
Are you going to speak? Second. Okay, let me just do that. Did you want to speak, or do you just second as well? Double second. Any more discussion or query, or in the paper you would see that people were showing interest, or so if people want to, thank you Councillor Wharehinga for nominating some people. I do know that there were others that also wanted to be part of it. If you're happy with what is being nominated, ka pai. If you're not, now is your time to speak up. And am I passing 2 papers here? Which one am I working off?
The first one in the agenda proper, and then the other report is separate. So it's got 2 items approved on there as well.
So confirms. So I'm confirming these people in 2 papers. Is that what I'm saying? Seeing? I'm just trying to simplify my own life here.
So on page 5.
Yes. So the 5 names.
Instructing.
Yes. And then on this one, there's also 5 names.
And the late.
Okay. Yeah.
No good.
So I'm just going to deal with this now, because this is just saying what we did earlier wasn't going, so we appoint new people. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Foster, all in favour, we carried. Now we move to our paper where we've got names. I didn't write it down. Do you have the names? Read them out, please. Read the first names, please.
Worship. Councillors Gregory, Cranston, Papata, and Tibble.
Yeah. Councillor Robinson, did you have something to add?
I already sit on the LLB, although we know that doesn't mean anything, and I've always expressed a massive desire to have the LLB activated. Said that many times in this room. I would like to still be on the RLB. I believe the skill set I bring to the RLB would be really important. I would be concerned about potential conflicts of interest arising with a significantly weighted council contribution to the RLB. I just don't know how that's going to play out. But looking at the skill set and what's required for the, achieving the purpose of the LLB and what it says in the legislation, I'm fully committed to it. I said to you, Your Worship, when you asked, again for expressions of interest, I'm 100% committed to the LLB and have been waiting a long time to get this active. So I would still love to be on the LLB, and I'll put my hand up.
Any other discussions? And we can vote. At the end of the day, this is a discussion to make sure everyone get a say. Councillor, someone else?
Councillor Tupara, no, sorry.
Councillor Foster, I think you just need to relax and let me chair this meeting.
I had spoken.
You contribute when I ask you to contribute.
I had spoken before anyway, but
I'm not talking to you. Councillor Telfer. Councillor Telfer, what I'm saying is just give someone else. You've spoken before. We're just giving him an opportunity and then you'll speak again. Okay? All good?
Right. I'm really keen for this to be enacted. It's in legislation and it's been sitting here since 2012. But I am concerned about if you're going to enact a committee like this, you want it to be able to work to its full potential. And I'm quite concerned that the public perception of the makeup of this committee can potentially be looked at saying this is made up of 6 iwi representatives and 6 council representatives. Now, I don't want this committee to be looked at saying which the community out there, a big percentage of the community will look at it going, oh, hang on a minute, under this format here, there are 9 iwi representatives. Okay? And I'm just putting this out there because this is what potentially we're going to have come back at us as councillors. So I don't want to put anything in the way of this committee being able to work to its full potential. So I'm a little bit just bringing it up.
Thank you for sharing that. Councillor Foster and then Councillor Elder, are you waving at me or did you put your hand up?
Yeah, I mean, even though I was asking questions about the makeup of it, I've always been supportive of the LAB right from the word go. And I always could see the benefit that it would bring to a council as well. I was just trying to clarify its powers, even though it is in the report. But and I have voiced interest in being on that committee. I've been around this table for a long, long time. I pride myself with being a people person. I get on with everybody. I've got no problems with that whatsoever, and I'm experienced. So I think I would be able to contribute to it very positively.
So you're putting your name forward?
I am.
Thank you. Councillor Elder.
Thank you, Your Worship. I too would like to put my name forward. I have resided in Manatuki most of my life. I have a scientific and farming education and have practiced both those in my farming throughout my life. I have a good relationship with members of the Muriwai, Patatahi, to a lesser extent TK and Manatuki communities, and I feel I would be able to contribute to this group. Thank you.
So you're putting your name forward?
I am putting my name forward, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, there we go. Councillor Gregory and then Councillor Tupara.
I'd like to ask a question, just following up from what Councillor Telfer just said, in terms of any conflict of that someone, I'm just speaking probably to either Councillor Pahuruai or Councillor Tibble, and Parata, who's not here. But do you see any conflict there or any issues? Is it right for me to ask?
You can ask whatever. This is an open public meeting and...
You get an answer is another thing.
No, I mean, I don't see that. I'm conflicted. I'm here at this table, like the rest of you, sworn in as councillor. And the iwi representatives that are at that table, who are there in their own right as iwi representatives, also see us as councillors, Māori ward councillors. And also,
because we are Māori ward councillors, there's a certain expectation that our people have of us to participate in things like the local leadership bodies. But we are all there, we're clear about, well, I'm clear, I'm sure the others are too, in terms of our responsibilities as councillors. Aubrey withdrew from this because she is conflicted by being, because of the other people that, in terms of her iwi affiliations and also her working life. There are definite conflicts there, which we agreed to. But I don't feel conflicted at all. We are to be guided by the requirements of the statutory obligations that we have. And as long as those are in front of us all the time, then we should be okay. And then coming back to this council. But I'm more concerned about what are you concerned about, what is the worst, what are the things that you fear from putting this, from having us at that table. Yeah. So I mean, I guess that my plea to you, Councillor Telfer and others who are being questioned by the general public about the makeup of this body, that we are there as councillors to take this kaupapa forward. And it's new, it's brand new. I think it's exciting.
Your Worship, the legislation contemplated a question like that because it does have under section 50 a conflicts of interest statement which says a member of the LLB is not precluded by the Local Authorities Member Interest Act 1968 from discussing or voting on matters merely because A, the member is a member of an iwi or hapu, or B, the economic, social, cultural and spiritual values of an iwi or hapu and their relationship with the LLB are advanced by or reflected in the subject matter under consideration, any decision or recommendation of the LLB and participation in the matter by that member.
Yeah. Thank you.
Councillor Tibble, thank you.
Nick.
No, sorry, Nick. No, I just got the evil eye from here. You go, Nick. Just kidding.
Well, just as someone who was originally appointed to the LLB prior to today, I saw it, because it is such a new committee, that I pondered on whether or not I should participate in. And so I didn't express an interest unless the Mayor dearly wanted me to be on that, I would accept that. The members of this committee are council members, and I think it's timely that we should be having this kind of discussion, particularly around what are the Māori wards and what is their purpose. The community has already decided that we will have Māori ward councillors here, that we will have councillors that originate from the papakainga, the marae, the whānau, the hapu and the iwi of this place. And so that's been stated. And I think it is healthy for us to ask these questions and have this discussion. Māori wards are here, they have Māori in them. Those Māori members are councillors. All their actions are for this room and this table and for the benefit of council to be passed on as a benefit to our community. And certainly I didn't consider withdrawing from LLB because I had an iwi conflict. I have an iwi conflict for everything in that case that we do. But I sit here because there was a need in this community to have Māori wards. Because of any iwi thing or any hapu thing. I'm here because the community decided we will have Māori wards on council. My second point is this is not a Māori or Pākehā thing. In the legislation it says Ngai Tā Manuhiri, 2 members against the total membership of that committee. They are Mahaki, 2 members against the total number of that committee. And they are Ronga Whakaata, only 2 members of that committee. To say that they are Māori, so they must be all on the same waka, is insulting to our treaty partners. They are treaty partners, they signed that treaty as individual iwi and representing individual hapu. They are outnumbered on that committee. You will find that they will bring their own kaupapa, their own take to their committee for discussion. And they will struggle even against the iwi down the road. But to assume that all those iwi, they must be Māori, that all those Māori ward members must be iwi, that's frankly insulting to a community here like the Tairāwhiti. And I think it is healthy for us to have this discussion so we can make it very clear going forward what it means to be a council member in the Tairāwhiti. So we can stand in front of our whare here, te kainihera ārohe o te Tairāwhiti, and understand what Tairāwhiti means and what representing our council's rohe means to our community.
Oh, losing it. Rhonda, it's been a long 2 days for me.
Kia ora tātou, what a fabulous discussion we're having right now. For me personally, in relation to this matter of the LLB's appointments, what I think is important to hold first and foremost is the last line in the summary before it says this report asks the council to. And it reads, it also ensures the council upholds its statutory obligations to the Treaty of Waitangi, which actually speaks directly to the heart of the concern that you have, Councillor Taufa, in relation to will there be backlash, white backlash to there being more Māori on this particular committee than, say, any other. And the wonderful aspect that you bring forward in terms of the concern of that public backlash and what it might mean for the capability of this and capacity of this particular set of councillors is to point at the diminished understanding of what we're actually trying to achieve here. And I say diminished understanding because that understanding largely comes from an ill-informed view of what this actually is achieving. You see, to understand matter-of-factly, you would have to examine this particular piece of literature to understand properly what it is surrendering. And the fear of loss of power by non-Māori in relation to giving the LLB effect is an actual fact that false evidence appearing real. But I do say that it's upon all of us to make sure that by the matters of fact that are explained in the legislation and the way this is worked through for why you would have an LLB versus why you would have a Gisborne District Council have to be properly sorted and defined according to the definition of what these bodies do. Because all of this muck mess that we're actually speaking to is in fact ill-informed muck mess. Until we get clarity and the people like me and you start to speak this way, everybody in this room and the council starts to examine the purpose, the function, and the workings of these bodies, then really we're all just talking a whole lot of choo-choo and hot air without substance. So here is actually what we need to be certain that we convey is the substance of what this actual body surrenders to the work that is required in the name of of Tāmanuhiri, and in the name of their treaty settlement, so that we can ensure their treaty settlement, as they settled with the Crown, is not unjudiciously affected by the decisions that we make as a council. That's actually it. We are there to protect that what they were surrendered to allows them to play forward and then support everything that plays forward in this particular jurisdiction. So I think that those matters really are the time to take different lenses off and view it not through the colour of Māori or Pākehā, but be really clear what the purpose and definition is of the board, and then remove fear in relation to Maoris are getting more or Pākehās are missing out, because the inverse argument sits quite nicely too. We've had 182 years prior to us standing up here of where we could not challenge that our voice wasn't there. So that fear is based on 182 years of conformed ways of being that have disinherited our right to be here. So nowhere do I hear that being discussed, the diminution of Māori right to place its voice. So I say that because I want it to be firmly understood that what is 12 years on from actually creating this legislation to allow for this, that it's actually taken this long for us to have this mechanism by which it could be advanced. Otherwise, it would have been advanced 10 years ago. But the truth of the matter is, you and I know it, everybody on here, is the council prior to this time was not ready for that giant leap of humanity. We must be reminded that it was the council before us that made this very courageous step to put Māori Ward here. You see, if Māori Ward wasn't here right now, we wouldn't be discussing the colour of the LLB.
Kia ora.
And I just want to make that emphatically clear to us that we are at a whole new space in terms of New Zealand's politics. And right here at the Gisborne District Council table is the opportunity for us to smooth this and not create more fear about something that does not need to be feared. Thank you for listening to me. It's not a growling, it's just that I want us to be really clear about the matters that this kind of level of examination requires us as councillors to be absolutely clear, hand on heart when we go out there talking about it. I really appreciate your legal explanation, Jacinta, in the way that you defined for me. I wanted to ratify what are our powers and where is the realm of working for an LLB. So I really appreciate that level of expert technical corridor knowledge to share with us, because it gave comfort to me as you explained that so that I could answer this way. Tēnā koe, tēnā tātou.
Kia ora, thank you, Your Worship. Kia ora tātou. Firstly, I want to thank Rob because, Councillor Telfer, because he has the courage to ask these questions, put them on the table, and for us to have a good, robust discussion about it. I want to thank all of us for contributing. I want to thank Rhonda for what she's just said and the way she's just done it, because even though some may feel that as a growling, I feel the passion and what she's saying. So the tone of her voice, and I can see she's very passionate about the kaupapa.
The glamorous coat.
I do want to talk about my conflict. My conflict is that as I am a council and I am paid by the council, the Gisborne District Council, I am also environmental project manager and I am paid by Te Aitanga Mahaki Trust. That is my conflict, that I am employed by both organisations. I do not have any other conflicts, because I know that if I was to put my name down for the LLB and I was to sit on that committee, that I am a representative of council. And at numerous hui, many of us Māori Ward councillors have said, we are not here to represent iwi, we are not mandated by iwi, we were voted in by the community. So it does get a little frustrating having to regurgitate that same phrase every time, but we are here to represent the community as a whole. So that's what my conflict is, which if I didn't work for Te Aitanga Mahaki then removes my conflict, then I'm able to engage and participate. But I thought also that it was a very, for me, because I do work for both those organisations, the perceived conflict was too great. It was too great for both the council and iwi for community to have a perceived conflict that I wouldn't be able to do what I need to do for that board. So I made the decision to take my name out because I didn't want to jeopardise both iwi in the LLB and the position on council in the LLB. Kia ora tātou.
Kātu wau ki te mihi anō kia koe e te kōka. Just wanted to stand to acknowledge you again and to ensure that you understand that the kōrero we're having are iwi, a te kaunihera, for Mahaki Ronga Whakaata and Tāmanuhiri, and it results from an initiative of Ngāi Tāmanuhiri to have this included in their settlement. And it's certainly no reflection on ngā ariki kai pūtahi or even te whānau akai. And as they work through their processes of settlement, perhaps there are other members that will come to a local leadership body, or like Ngāti Parau, they might decide to go to some other formality in order to stay connected and engage with council and council business. So I just wanted to ensure that that's there, and that's something that has been pointed out, has been on the books there for some time. It has only just come together, although Ngāriki Kai Pūtahi, Whānau Akai and Mahaki are closer to settlement. We wait with bated breath to see what that settlement has for our council here and for the rest of our community.
Go, Rob.
Through your worship, right of reply.
So you didn't move it, but I want councillors that I still need to talk about right of reply. No, this is an open discussion because it is timely for us because, like I said, need people, we need to talk about Māori wards and the emails I'm receiving and I need to be confident that people have my back when we do stuff. So this is the type of discussion we need. So please take your time. If people want to speak, this is it. We are no rush. Mr. Rob, your right of reply.
No, look, I just want to make it clear, and we've got the media here, so
This being
That's the live stream.
They're on.
Because I think where I was coming from, and I hope everyone understood where I was coming from, it was about if you're going to have any of these committees, they've got to be be confident and be put in an environment where they can work and succeed. And it was around making sure they are. If you read point 6, section 48, the first point there states very clearly that the intention of the provision is that the LAB members must be driven by the collective purpose, as opposed to the individual members representing their own interests. And no matter what the makeup of this committee ends up being, and this includes the iwi representatives, need to be very, very clear about what that section says and what that individual statement says, because that is what this committee is going to be judged on. And when there are individual directors come in rather than the collective purpose, that's what will make it fall down. So that's where I was coming from.
Anyone else? Councillor Wharehinga, you actually have a right of reply.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
If you want to do your right of reply, let me know because I'm in a pickle.
Yeah.
You want to do your right of reply now? Everyone had their say. So you go, Debbie.
I just, if there's going to be voting for people, I would like to say why I would like to be on that board.
So let me first do my spiel and then you can do your spiel. Thank you for not making it easy for me, people. We've got a whole chart here to follow because this is not going to be easy. But listen to what the Mayor has, because I know what I'm talking about. I have a resolution on the table, but I'm also the boss of the committee and know that what was just discussed for us, possibly is better for us to do voting to give everyone the opportunity to have a say. So I'm in the pickle that I now have a resolution on the table with a mover and a seconder, Heather, but I also, as we discussed stuff, there were more people putting their Robinson, Foster and Elder also wanted to put their names with Stoltz, Gregory. No one's going to vote for Stoltz. I'm in there. You're in the 5 other. Gregory, PH, Cranston, Parata, Tibble.
PH.
So can you please give me advice while I drink my coffee?
So you have considered that you fully debated. We've got a motion on the table that's been moved and seconded without amendments at this stage. So Josh gets his right of reply. Also, Councillor Wharehinga gets his right of reply. And then you can put the motion, and if the motion is lost, then you need to move back to someone to do another motion.
Can I just get clarity on people who so we've had, see, the reason why I wanted to put forward 5 names is I know how complicated this can get. And then when you start putting your other names up, then it starts diminishing the pool of people who actually vote without conflict for this resolution. You know?
So can I...
You can vote for yourself.
Yeah, you can't vote for yourself. And then also, people that have put their hands up for it could possibly have bias for not voting. This is what I mean. This is why I was quick to vote for 5.
So can I make a smart solution? Please, I'll try. So in our standing orders, we have a way of voting. Voting number A. So what we can do is, like I do sometimes with appointments, you know, when we interview people and you want to eliminate people through the system, that's our voting system A. that we can use. That means, though, in order to do that, we first need to either withdraw, which I'm not saying you should do, I'm just putting it in there, or vote it. Ka pai. If it gets voted down, is the voting open again then for everyone, and we can move to voting system A? See, I'm only the mayor, I'm not the democracy person, I do not know that.
I've only ever done it once, which was probably like
I'll leave it to
years
Heather
ago.
to
Have a coffee.
At the moment, it's a straight motion.
yes.
Got a motion on the table.
Councillor
Got a motion on the table that's
Okay,
been
Councillor
moved and
Robinson.
Can you, Chair, please clarify? Councillor Parata, his name's been put forward. She's not here, and we don't know what her position on it is.
She did it.
Was you already on?
She spoke to me.
Okay, so sorry. Well, look, listen. I wanted to know if the people who Josh nominated think they can do the job superbly. Then I'm happy to step back and make sure that whoever's on that board, on the LRB is doing the best job possible, right? If they individually think they can commit the time and effort for what the LRB is, given it is such an important board, if they think they can do that, then I'm happy to step away. But I would want to know that they really believe, because this is to me a really important kaupapa. I have talked about this thing for 6 years since I've been on council, 4.5 years since I've been on council, even before that actually. So I really want to make sure those people who have been nominated really believe they can make this work. This is an exciting, revolutionary body.
Thank you for that.
Am I right? Oh, no. He wants to.
We're still, your right of reply is still hanging. Mr. Teddy Thompson, thank you.
Yeah, I'm all about, not for fear of someone having the majority or whatever. I'm for the more diversity on a committee, the better, and the more heads on a committee, the better. So on other committees that some we're for, and we made them committees as a whole, so I don't know if we have the ability to increase it. We don't.
Teddy, this is set in the supplementary legislation.
So that's not a thing. I also don't want someone to miss out, someone put their hand up if they're not going to commit 100%. If they're already struggling to come to council, and they're overcommitted, I don't want someone missing out for someone who can't commit 100%. And I also see council as an apprenticeship. The people who they've got more experience, and they should get priority over the new ones. And then when they drop off the new ones, like when you do a building apprenticeship, the apprentice does the sweeping. So I'm sort of.
And just to clarify this, at this stage, Nadine, when we set this here, look at me giving you the eye. If we set the committee now, because if you read the letter that I received from Pauline Hill, it talks about initial membership. So people can change their membership. You don't change your number of people, but because end of next year, there might be the big cull at the Gisborne District Council, and everyone that was on that committee might not be, either choose not to stand again, or they might not be elected again, so then the membership change. So I also do want to make it clear to people, just what Teddy said now, it's a living organism with different people in there. I always think about us just as placeholders in a certain time. The whole structure need to carry on. The membership, the people in there might change, but if we do the structure good, it shouldn't depend on personalities. So that was also something that I've taken away, that we are appointing now. I wanted to ask about commitment and how often we will meet. Would that be maybe like 4 times a year, like every term? Like say a half a day or a day, but it would be a whole morning or a whole afternoon, once a term type thing. And those committee times will be set by all different, everyone's diary schedules try and coordinate that. Is that a correct-ish assumption to make, Nadine?
Yeah, with the provider that you've got another half that needs to also return.
Yes.
Fair to say too, with the TRMP review going on, that the importance of this board is never more important than now, because of what the kaupapa expressly covering the natural elements within the rule. There's going to be a heap of work up front to get this thing up and running, get relationships building, strength within the team, and then contributing sensibly, probably the next 3 years at least. So commitment, Your Worship, is the term I wanted to hear from anyone who's on that board.
Okay, you got an answer for me, Heather?
So the system of voting, as I understand it, is only really for individuals, not for positions on board appointments. So it's for deputy mayors, committee chairs and deputy chairs.
But if we got to it, you could still use, what we're saying is we could still use that type of approach if you can't confirm your files.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'll give you your right of reply soon. Mr. Cranston?
Yeah, you were trying, Debbie's been trying to speak for quite a while.
Oh, sorry, Debbie.
And I'd like, on the basis of what Councillor Robertson said about hearing from the people that are on, so I think Debbie and myself would like to say something.
Fantastic, thank you.
I'm also happy to wait until this has been moved and if it fails.
But you can't say anything after a
Okay.
reply though. Just no.
Okay. Well, the reason why I am really keen to be on this board is because I am passionate about it, and I commit to, if I commit to something, you know that I will be there. I've shown that in the last 5 years, and there was something else. Gosh, sorry.
And you can go, well, yeah, if you gather your thoughts, we can give Andy a go and we can come back to you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Big pressure.
Yeah, you're right, Deb?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really keen. I've been on that name list for quite a while, and every 6 months or so I sort of, what's happening, and nothing's happening. So absolutely enthusiastic that something is happening. As you know, I am an experienced councillor, and I do have a huge interest in Te Ao Māori. I mean, the studies I've done with Te Reo are not just language studies. They're a study of what happens in the Māori world, and I'm keen to sort of be involved in that part of it. But I would like to say something about Māori wards, which I hate. I hate Māori wards because we sit around this table and we've got the Māori fellas and the Pākehā fellas. I see this as a whole council, and that's how we've got to treat it. We've got to treat it like she's got to make the same decision I've got to make. Rhonda's got to make the same decision I've got to make. It's not the white fellas and the Māori fellas making different decisions. We all want to make the same decisions for the whole community. So when I look at the LLB, I don't see that makeup like that. I see, okay, we've got to have that many councillors, we've got to have that many from iwi. End of story for me. That's the end of story. And the decisions that come back will be based on, the discussions will be based on what councillors do, not Māori wood council as such. It will be councillors. And that's something I really struggle with once we've set up this table, that we keep that division there. And I'd like to figure out some way of not having that division around this table. Even though we came in on the basis of Māori wards, we're still all the same. So, yeah, just how we get there is a work in progress.
Thank you. Sorry, if I
All
could
good.
finish, I'm sorry.
And as far as the voting goes, my understanding is we move seconded, so we do it, and then we determine the next stage if it fails.
If I could just finish, sorry about that before. I have known about this group since 2012 because I was a journalist, and so it is exciting to be part of that sort of groundbreaking, exciting thing. And also, although the Mayor just was talking about the people, you know, it's okay, we might have to start again, but I also made a commitment to stand at least 3 times when I got on council, because it takes a long time to get that constitutional knowledge, and I feel it's a bit wasteful just to stand and then, you know, if you can grasp it, to carry it on and use that knowledge to do the great job that the community want us to do. And I do have a plan to stand again, and which would give some continuity to that local leadership board. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Councillor Wharehinga, right of reply, we got there in the end.
Thank you very much, and I do just want to acknowledge all of this council for the robust discussion and the width and the breadth of the kōrero that we had today. Just to give a rationale around how I approach thinking about who to nominate for this. Right, this is my 4th term in council. I've been in situations where we've had to nominate a group before, and I know it gets really complex and really difficult, as you've just kind of experienced today in regards to just this discussion. So I was trying to get ahead of that complexity before it kind of like ran away on us. In terms of who I thought about putting forward, when I think of the likes of our Sister Cities Committee, obviously you'd want to put me on there. I'm an honorary advisor to the Asian New Zealand Foundation. Logical choice to go on that committee. When you think of our rural representative to Zone 3 to LGNZ, of course that person's Councillor Telfer. So again, I took that same thinking when it came to the 5 names I thought should be on this, our local leadership body. And also the breadth, a long-term councillor, a medium-term councillor, and most of our councillors today are new, so you want to have a good chunk of new councillors. You want to have the breadth of the experience on that LLB as well. But the key thing that you want to have amongst all 5 of those people is the ability to be able to hit the ground running. Our iwi partners will want to be able to have a direct conversation about their kaupapa already, rather than teaching you about their kaupapa, about having conversation about kaupapa. We can't burden our iwi partners with bringing us up to speed with their stuff. We should already be able to hit the ground running. I've seen Councillor Gregory hit the ground running when it was in regards to Waingake and working with our maraetai whānau. I've seen Councillor Cranston hit the ground running over my 4 terms in council as a person who goes out learning te reo Māori and tikanga Māori, staying on noho, etc., etc. I'm confident in our 1st term councillors about the ability to be able to hit the ground running in this local leadership body space. That was the rationale in regards to why I thought these 5 would be the ones that I would want to nominate for the LLB. So that's my kōrero in regards to that nomination, and I do not plan on making any changes. The 5 nominations still stand.
Thank you. Okay, so councillors, what I have at this stage is a nomination for Councillor Gregory, Councillor Pahuru-Huriwai, Councillor Cranston, Councillor Parata, and Councillor Tibble. I have a mover in Councillor Wharehinga. I have a seconder in Councillor Ria. It is hands up. It's people we are voting for, so you don't use your voice, you use your hand. For new councillors, for new councillors, the process is, if this pass, that's the 5 people that will be on there with the mayor. If it doesn't pass, then we move to our second bit, where Councillor Robinson has said he's quite happy to remove his name.
Yeah, in the event the first one passes.
And then Councillor Foster and Councillor Elder are keen to put their name forward. Papai, are you still keen for that? Okay, so...
Sorry, could you just repeat those names again?
So it is Councillor Gregory, Councillor Pahuru-Huriwai, Councillor Cranston, Councillor Parata, Councillor Tibble, and the Mayor. Not that you're voting for me, but I'm also in there. You are voting for me. Just saying, I'm also in there.
Just saying.
So Josh was not on?
No, I haven't put myself forward.
Okay. Hands up. Vote. Carried. Thank you. So at this stage, the people on here is Gregory, Pahuru-Huriwai, Cranston, Parata, Tibble, and Stoltz. Kaupai?
Kaupai.
Kaupai, thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Okay, next. We need to talk about all the emails and the stuff I'm getting in regard of Māori wards. So if I can talk to you about that, is... Meeting is closed. Meeting is closed, thank you.